Partly cloudy and 26. With the 6 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Make RAA approved windscreen repairer Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. Visit completewindscreens.com.au.
Cost of living's emerging as the number one issue for voters, with 50% expecting inflation to get worse in the near future. Katie Fuller reports.
The latest Resolve survey shows 46% of voters expect real wages to fall this year, and political analysts say it's a warning sign for the Prime Minister. Opposition leader Peter Dutton has pushed ahead of Anthony Albanese as preferred Prime Minister, 39 to 34%. The coalition also leads Labor on a two-party preferred basis, 51 to 49%.
Prince Harry's claimed a monumental victory in a UK court. Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers have agreed to pay damages over claims they used unlawful techniques to look into his private life. The Sun has issued an unprecedented apology for the serious intrusions on the Duke of Sussex and his late mother, Princess Diana. Speaking outside court, the Prince's lawyer, David Koch, says it's a win for his family, who've been relentlessly targeted by the press.
In a monumental victory today, News UK have admitted that The Sun, the flagship title for Rupert Murdoch's UK media empire, has indeed engaged in illegal practices.
Around 20 million Australian dollars in damages will be awarded to the Prince and his family. Police are investigating a house fire at Parafield Gardens last night. Fire crews arrived on Kellaway Street to find the house engulfed in flames. It's unclear what sparked the blaze. While a hay shed went up in flames at Coalbatch in the Coorong, the shed, hay and farm machinery has been destroyed. It's left a damage bill of around $650,000. Domestic services on the country's two biggest airlines are more delayed than they were before the pandemic. Just 72% of Virgin flights made it to their destination on time in the past year, and only 3/4 of Qantas planes were punctual. A toddler and a man have been stabbed to death in Germany. 2 others were severely injured in the brutal attack in Bavaria. German police have arrested a 28-year-old Afghan citizen they believe was behind the attacks. A new study has found a disturbingly high number of girls have been groomed online. Gabriel Hodson reports.
A national study has found more than 1 in 4 girls have been groomed online or via text messages. The E-Safety Commissioner in Queensland University of Technology surveyed 3,500 Australians aged 16 to 24 and found 26% had been sexually solicited online while they were still in secondary school. News Corp says of those, 80% said the grooming began by the time they'd turned 15. 1 in 4 said the grooming began before they were 12. Boys were less likely to face the same attention, with less than 8% reporting that they'd been groomed before they'd turned 18.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Alex de Minaur says he's determined to find a way to hurt Yannick Sinner on the tennis court after losing to him for the 10th time in 10 matches. The world number 8 went down in straight sets to make a quarter-final exit from the Australian Open last night, but he says his best is yet to come.
I just need to sit with my team and figure out a way to hurt Yannick on the court, because at the moment we don't have it. So back to the drawing board like I've done my whole career, and I still don't think this is my ceiling. I still think I've got more in the tank, so I'll be searching for that.
A win also for American Ben Shelton, who outlasted Italian Lorenzo Sonego in 4 sets, meaning he'll now play against Sinner in the semis. And on the women's side, there were wins for Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek. Well, Adelaide United has played out a thrilling 2-2 draw against Auckland FC in the A-League overnight. The result means the Reds stay top of the table, 1 point clear of Auckland. To cricket in the BBL, the Sydney Thunder have beaten the Melbourne Stars by 21 runs in their knockout final overnight. Nathan McAndrew was the star for the Thunder, taking 5 for 16 from his 4 overs, meaning the Thunder will now take on the Sydney Sixers for a spot in the BBL Grand Final while it's season over for the Stars. Aussie Sam Welsford has overcome a nasty fall early in Stage 2 of the Tour Down Under to retain the overall leader's ochre jersey heading into Stage 3 today. And Aussie golfers Minwoo Lee and Minjee Lee will feature on Season 3 of the PGA Tour documentary Full Swing. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy and 26 today, mostly sunny tomorrow, 28, 29 for Saturday and then 35 for Sunday. Right now 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Hi, Graham Goodings here. This Friday I'll be broadcasting live at the grand opening of Nonna's Cucina Cafe for 5AA Mornings. Join me for some delicious food, coffee and plenty of fun to celebrate what this iconic South Australian organisation does, delivering meals and kindness to those who need it most. Come down, say hello. Also find out how you can volunteer to help deliver meals and brighten someone's day. I'll see you this Friday, Nonna's Cucina Cafe, 30 Lyons Road, Holden Hill, from 9am.
Hi, Daniel Talia here, General Manager of Home. That's HAUME. If you're thinking about selling your home and it's in our price range, we'll buy it. Forget spending thousands getting your home ready for sale. We'll offer you market value right now. And the settlement can be up to 12 months if you like, which gives you loads of flexibility. That's how easy it is. To get in touch with us today, visit home.com.au and remember HAUME.com.au. At Home, we buy homes.
Wing it, fake it till you make it. Near enough is good enough. Some trades reckon experience is overrated. It's boring. At C&N Concrete Soaring, the only boring we do is through your concrete. C&N Concrete Soaring scan, cut, core and break concrete for pipes and cables in houses through to factories and everywhere in between. And we've been doing it since 1990. At C&N Concrete Soaring, experience does matter. It's not boring. Go to cndn.com.au.
Parties, weddings, big events. What do they all have in common? Pals. You know your pals want to have a good time, but what will everyone want to drink? That's when you need to speak to Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals will make sure you've got the right type of drinks, the right amount, and best of all, we'll make sure you've got the best labels that will keep everyone talking about your event. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals. Next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Don't miss Cheap as Chips Chippy Rewards Super Sale this weekend.
Cheap as Chips.
Members get up to 30% off fantastic deals, like 30% off summer clothing, 30% off pet toys, 30% off aged care, and 25% off Sedona cleaning products. Not a member? It's easy to become one. Sign up now by heading to cheapaschips.com.au or sign up in store before you purchase. Don't miss Cheap as Chips Chippy Rewards Super Sale. Live cheaper this Friday to Sunday with Cheap as Chips.
A new garage door to your home can improve the street appeal and value of your most prized possession. Call Gliderol now and order a new door and operator before the end of February.
Adelaide wakes up with 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings, Tom Wren for sport, Jade Robran on the scene as it happens, Graham Goodings and Jess Adamson with the news that matters to Adelaide. Breakfast with David and Will, bringing together the names you trust with everything you need to know to start your day. Always live, always local and only on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
9 minutes after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday on 5AA Breakfast, the 23rd of January. We've got a good one for you coming up this morning. David Koch will be on the show for the first time in 2025. Phil Liggett, the voice of cycling. Love chatting with Phil. He always does. He's obviously one of the great callers in the history of sport, but just one of life's great gentlemen as well. So looking forward to chatting with Phil Liggett after 8:30. Matt Abraham for the first time this year on the political spin of not just the last week, but of course the summer. Jade Robran's got a royal wrap for us coming up. We're off to Washington. There's more on the Trump's first few days. Every half hour goes by and there's a new brand spanking headline. Tim Lester has it all covered for us from 7 News. It's going to be a big morning. Looking forward to it, and indeed your contributions as well on the Police Home Care text line 0448 08 1395. You can call us too on 8223 0000. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. I tell you what, if you are an early riser, you will be enjoying the sunrise. We always love it when our listeners send us photographs, and we can put them up on the live stream. But the sunrise this morning, right now, I was just having a bit of a look out on the balcony, and there's this beautiful pink glow coming over the hills. We've got the old iPhone on a stick working its magic there. It's not quite full sort of Technicolor Dean Semler style cinematography just yet. Give it a chance. Give it another 15 minutes.
There's a hint of pink at the back of the frame.
Yeah, there is a bit there.
You've got about 15 minutes until the sun is officially up. So if you want to get out and take some shots and send them in to us, our very clever photographers that have technology that far surpasses the iPhone on a stick, you can do that. And you've got a little bit of time to do so. 14 minutes now, 6:26, the sun comes up.
Now, Will, I want to ask you about your mate Soda's.
Oh,
the poor guy.
Yeah.
So Mark Soderstrom, yesterday, he was doing one of the sort of charity races for a side race for the Tour Down Under. Came off. So did you know in advance, or did you just rock up at work yesterday?
No, I didn't know before I got there.
Read the news with him.
I knew we were in doing some updates at about 5 o'clock, and we crossed paths coming out of the studio, and I saw he had a cast on his arm. I said, "Mate, what have you done to yourself?" And he said, "That's not the." And he was covered in makeup already because he'd just been recording things.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, mate, that's not the least. That's not the least of it." And he showed me the photos of his face. His nose was scratched, his upper lip was burnt off, his chin. Like, he looked like he'd been, not in a car accident, but he looked like a bloke who'd come off his bike in a pretty violent way. And I said, "Oh, your hand, is it sprained, or you haven't broken it, have you?" He said, "Oh, no, it's broken." And he showed me his hand. One of them honestly looked like a novelty balloon hand. It was the skin was taut.
Yeah, right.
It was as fat a hand as you could see. It almost looked like a cartoon character, little stubby. And he showed it next to his other hand.
So it only happened yesterday.
Yeah, it happened during the day. Happened that morning.
Because it happened at the start of the race. He still completed the race though. It
was like at this time, and it was a bit dark, and he hit a bit of median strip basically.
Yeah, right.
And came off. Yeah, but he completed it. He's tough, Sodas. He's
phenomenal.
He's Sandful stock.
Well, that's right, exactly.
But then he came in and he said to the boss, "Oh, yeah, I got this cast and so forth. I can take it off for the news. We don't have to do that." And he went, "No, I told the doc, don't make it a full proper one yet. I'll get it sorted because it'll be too much of a distraction." So he took it off and did the news.
You're joking?
He took it off and did the news.
We must have been on painkillers.
He made some jokes about that, but he seemed to get through the read okay.
I'll tell you who deserves credit, the makeup person.
Yeah, Suzanne does, wonderful job.
Because I presume the photo that they had in the paper of him was because it was set up like a before and after
Yeah, that
shot.
was when he got into 7.
Because you couldn't tell when he had the makeup on.
I couldn't tell a metre away from him when I was chatting with him until he showed me the picture, and I started looking in those areas, and I could see it was clearly something had been roughed up. But yeah, he didn't just. It wasn't just the kind of thing that was, overblown for television. He seriously hurt himself.
Did you ever have a bad stack on your bike as a kid?
Not that bad. No, not broken bones bad.
No, I never broke any. I used to ride everywhere. I didn't get my driver's license till I was 22 because I lived in the city when I was at uni, and I used to ride all the time. But I came off really badly once, cutting through a service station at night on the corner of I don't know the side street. It was one of the side streets through Edwardstown, Melrose Park, near the Hungry Jacks at Castle Plaza. And I cut through this servo to turn left on a south road. And it wasn't a servo, it was like a motor mechanics. And they had like a low slung chain to stop people from doing exactly what I was doing, or to stop cars from doing it. So I got through, and the chain was the height of my pedals. And I was just flying through there, and the chain just went and grabbed onto my pedals, and I just kept going. I was flying over the handlebars. Landed on South Road.
Oh,
luckily there were no cars there. But I walked down to the Hungry Jacks, staggered down to the Hungry Jacks with my broken bicycle, and this is before mobile phones existed. And I went in and I said, "Look, I'm really sorry. I've just had a pretty bad stack on my bike. Would I be able to borrow a phone so I could ring my dad and get him to pick me up?" And they said, "No, the phone is not for the use of customers." And I was standing there covered in blood. And I said, "Well, thank you." It's unbelievable.
That's a strict fight. Well, I mean, they don't want everyone.
I've never gone to that Hungry Jacks.
They don't want everyone getting injured on a bike wandering into Hungry Jacks,
People
do they?
coming in, going to the trouble of deliberately, turning their beloved 12-speed Ricardo into a...
Just to get a free phone call out of it.
Into a ball and covering themselves with scratches and cuts and blood, coming in just so they can ring one of their parents.
Dave in Blakeview's called in on bike stacks. Morning to you, Dave.
G'day, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you, Dave.
We used to live by how much your kneecap was left over when you come off the bike. Be there for a scab on your kneecap, about the size of your kneecap, and your elbows, and anywhere else. And the older brother, he put a set of forks, extended the forks on the bike one day with a sack truck wheel on the front of it, and he picked her up, and he forgot to bloody jam the forks onto the original forks, and they fell off.
Oh, no.
So he's gone ass over red when he forked the dug into the ground and come back down again. Laugh like hell.
I reckon we're about the same age, Dave, because I can remember putting forks and turning your bike into a chopper. That was all the rage in the late 70s, early 80s. We just spent heaps of time doing that in Mitchell Park.
Lots of stories of people coming to grief on bikes. On the Police Home Care text line, someone here has said, I was popping a mono one day, the front wheel fell off, came down fully, knocked myself out. That would have been a sight to see. Keep them coming in, 0480 1395, or you can call us on 8223 0000. We're going to take a break. News headlines coming up next.
Ever driven a better car than yours? Now you can. The Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai, from $46,990 drive away. Visit your participating Hyundai dealer today. T's and C's at hyundai.com.au.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
It pays to cruise with RAA. Book and pay a deposit on a new ocean or river cruise with RAA Travel by Feb 28, 2025 for the chance to win a $5,000 cruise holiday voucher. Can you imagine that? Booking a cruise and winning a cruise. It's better to be a member with RAA Travel. Promoter is RAA. T's and C's exclusions, booking and eligibility criteria apply. Available at travel.raa.com.au.
Much on this weekend? How about a quick trip to Amsterdam? Dig into cones of Belgian fries topped with mayo, mini Dutch pancakes and indulgent Biscoff milkshakes. Stock up on authentic Dutch products, market fresh produce and irresistible Dutch cakes made from scratch daily. Take a leisurely stroll past the windmill, admire the tulips and the Delft Blue. Visit Amsterdam this weekend at the Dutch Pantry, OG Road Clemzig, open 7 days. Just look for the big windmill.
Over $100 million in transactions. That is a big number, and that's the value of commercial property transactions that were managed by Ray White Commercial Adelaide in just their first year. And that's the kind of success you get when you work with the most experienced commercial market sales team in Adelaide.
These guys are the best in the business. They've got 30 years of experience, combined expertise. Oliver, Harry, Jack, they're Adelaide's best in-class commercial specialists. Now, they've mastered the art of helping property owners achieve the best price across every asset type, be it commercial office, industrial warehouses, retail outlets, childcare centres, medical facilities or prime development sites. It doesn't matter, they've got you covered.
Having local market knowledge with a strong national network of buyers looking to invest in SA, the team delivers results for everyone. Whether your property portfolio has one property or 10, RWC Adelaide can help you.
So if you're looking to sell your commercial property for the best price and want a stress-free process, with Ray White Commercial Adelaide, you're in safe hands. Head to rwcadelaide.com today.
$20,000. Now's your last chance to win it. Edwardstown Mazda's incredible 2024 plate clearance sale is in its final stages with huge factory bonuses and massive discounts. Plus at Edwardstown Mazda and only Edwardstown Mazda, every purchase sends you straight into the draw to win $20,000. Yep, that's $20,000. Why would you go anywhere else?
It's gotta be
Edwardstown Mazda, the #1 destination for Mazda in SA. T's and C's apply. T24/1786.
When we first started Bear, the funeral industry hated us.
We were told that a low-cost funeral provider would never work, that we wouldn't last the year, and, to be honest, that we weren't welcome.
But after hard losses of our own and experiencing the cost and complexity of funerals firsthand, we left our careers behind and set out on a mission to change the way Australians say goodbye.
So, we launched Bear, and we started by questioning everything we'd ever been told about funerals. Turns out, when you ask families what their loved one would have actually wanted, you end up with a funeral that's simpler and way more affordable.
And while we're still not welcomed by the funeral industry, there's no place we'd rather be.
Bear. Funerals made easier.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes after 6. We're going to get into the news headlines in a moment, but Jerry in Warradale's called into the program. Morning, dear Jerry.
Good morning. Hi, guys. Well, for embarrassment factor, I suppose, I might top it. When I was really young, I used to be a postie at Glenelg Post Office. We'd leave from the really lovely old building, which was on the corner of Collie Terrace, you know, the lovely building, got Chivo in it now.
Yeah.
And you come pedalling out the front area, and there was a few of us on scooters, and then I managed to get a push bike round, which I thought was great, trying to impress people. Stacked up my front thing with heaps of letters and a nice little leather satchel on the front, pedalling round the corner until you hit Jetty Road and completely forgot about the tram tracks.
Oh, no.
And got the front wheel wedged in between the tram tracks, and myself, the bike, and about 3,000 letters all over Jetty Road.
Oh, wow.
It was about 6 o'clock. Lucky thing was we left sort of pretty early, so it was before the tram came all the way down, and so I was just completely, roadkill.
Oh,
and having to spend the next 10-15 minutes trying to pick myself the bike up and reload all my letters in the right order so that I could deliver them correctly.
Oh, crikey. What an experience.
Yeah, I know.
Glad you lived to tell the tale, Jerry. Good on you.
It might have cost you a bit of embarrassment, Jerry, but I tell you what, we're going to send you off to the zoo. So all these years later, it's going to pay off, all right?
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Not a problem.
See you guys.
You got a family pass to the zoo coming your way. So you just never know. What was embarrassment decades ago turns into prize-winning fodder on local radio years later.
Jerry's going to love it. We went yesterday afternoon. We saw Xinghui for the first time, munching on some bamboo. It was terrific.
The new giant panda pair are exploring their home right now. David's seen them. Jerry will be there, and you could be too. Get along to the fantastic Adelaide Zoo.
Don't forget the 3 new capybaras either, for fans of gigantic Brazilian marsupials that look like guinea pigs that have been fed human growth hormone. They are majestic things.
All right, let's get into the news headlines on this Thursday morning. Australia's grappling with a shortage of essential prescriptions. We're going to do more on this at 7:05. This comes about following a UniSA study that found 142 pharmacists. Of 142 pharmacists, nearly 90% are finding alternative suppliers every week. They're having to, because they just can't fulfil prescriptions. Some patients being left without access to life-saving treatments for 2 to 3 weeks at a time in Australia. The pharmacies are saying to the federal government, you need to help us out here. We'll tell you how and what they want at 7 o'clock. Thousands of anti-Australia Day protesters are expected to join forces with pro-Palestinian groups on Sunday, kind of We Hate Australia coalition. A mass protest which could disrupt Melbourne's CBD and impact the Australian Open. Is there ever a day that goes by in Melbourne when there's not some kind of protest these days? It sort of feels like it's the protest capital of the Southern Hemisphere.
If you want to protest about Australia Day, more power to your arm. You are totally allowed to. It's a democracy. If you want to protest about Palestine as well, go ahead and do it. But this idea that it becomes this sort of omnibus, smorgasbord of grievances. What the hell's the dispute in Palestine got to do with Australia Day?
Wasn't it simply logistics? They're the same people?
Well, yes. Yes, they are. My God.
Half of Australian voters are expecting real wages and inflation to get worse this year. The latest Resolve poll shows the coalition's being trusted more on cost of living issues. Peter Dutton surpassing Anthony Albanese as preferred Prime Minister ahead quite handsomely
5 points,
39 to 34%. 5 points.
Problem with that poll is not this poll, it's the last 4 polls. Because there's
it's a trend.
There's a big upward trend for Dutts and there's a big downward trend for Albo. And it's all about Albo. Like the approval rating is, and I reckon you can trace it back to Qantas upgrades in Copacabana.
Yes.
That's when it really started to get messy.
That's when the floor started falling out. A February rate cut feels like something that every single Labor politician in the country should have everything crossed for.
Oh, yeah.
I think you get a February rate cut and things
changes the dynamic.
You can tell a different story.
Completely. I don't think the RBA wants to give them one, though.
Well, that's the human element is particularly intriguing. Federal police say they aren't ruling anything in or out as they investigate a string of recent anti-Semitic attacks. The agency believes criminals may have been paid to carry out some of the attacks on the Jewish community. Investigators trying to work out whether foreign actors are involved. AFP Commissioner Rhys Kershaw says more investigation is required.
The AFP's investigative lines of inquiry are looking at whether some individuals have been paid to carry out some anti-Semitic acts in Australia. We believe criminals for hire may be behind some incidents.
14.7 degrees outside in the city at the moment, heading for a really nice top of 26 today, and the next few days really perfect, I think. 28 on Friday, 29 on Saturday. Sunday, the Australia Day, now down a little bit, 35, but the heat lasts longer, so we get 34 on Monday, where otherwise it was expected to be a little bit cooler. And then 28 Tuesday and 28 Wednesday. Talk about a sweet spot of Adelaide summer weather at the moment.
Beautiful. Hey, can I just do a little intro for the next? I know that's your job, Will.
Yeah, please.
I'd just like to intro this next segment, Rennie, by reading out this text from John in Glenelg. Guys, please, 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 next time Rennie tips an Australian team or player to win, can you please hit the dump button before he can say it, because he's the biggest jinx out there. What happened to the demon, mate?
Unfortunately, he was totally destroyed, wasn't he?
It was amazing.
It was clinical. Yeah, I thought he was a chance, but he got absolutely smashed, and there was doubt right up until the last minute that Sinner would even play. Well, it was all, folly, really, wasn't it?
Do you reckon he was foxing? Was this some sort of deliberate tactic?
Who would know? I mean, I don't think so. He doesn't seem like that kind of character, but this is the way it finished last night in that match.
Well, Sinner is simply too good, and he sails into the semi-finals.
Yeah, so audio there, thanks to Nine. A match that lasted just under 2 hours. It was just so clinical, wasn't it? He just destroyed him from go to woe. 6 games the Demon could only get for the entire match.
6-3, 6-2, 6-1.
Yeah,
it wasn't exactly a visual spectacle, was it?
It wasn't. It's obviously one of those guys, he just cannot break him down. He just can't get close to him. And look, I think, still a career best effort for him to make the quarterfinals. It's still a great effort, but... Yeah. There's a gulf, isn't there, between Yannick Sinner and sort of that next echelon of players. It's stark, and it was laid bare last night. He's a fair way off him at the moment, quite a way. He's 0 from 10 meetings against him, so that's a long way off.
Yeah.
So disappointing. Yeah, look, I thought he'd get close. I genuinely did, but he was smashed. So sorry about that, John. Wasn't my best tip of all time.
No, but based on the way we'd been playing, though, it was totally fair.
He looked good.
And with all the speculation about Sinner too.
That's right. I think all of that, thrown into the melting pot, we all thought that he was going to be a chance, but unfortunately, not great. Adelaide United, not a bad result, but they'd be disappointed they didn't take all 3 points last night. They were 2-1 up. They hit the lead in stoppage time, and I think everyone thought, oh, here we go. But that's their Achilles heel this season. They concede too many goals from a corner, a set piece, 99th minute, disappointing. But, they're great. They scored 2 goals. Archie Goodwin continues to have a great season.
Off the bench.
It's fantastic to see what they're able to do and the way they're able to score.
I'm dark on United. I did have a fight with my wife last night because of them last night. She was out of the room and I watched that game, and then...
You didn't say something.
She came in and she said,
in front of Rosie,
she said, "What's up your nose?" And I went, "Oh, whatever." And then 10 minutes later, she goes, "Seriously, what's your problem?" And I went, "Oh, well, my problem is 107th equaliser. That's what my problem is." That wasn't.
Well, it's
good
that you're arguing about the important stuff in life, Will.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Exactly.
That really annoyed me last night.
It did, yeah.
To be fair, the first goal, I don't know how VAR didn't strike it off. Adelaide United's first goal. You get fortune in sport. Sometimes that happens, and they made the most of it.
Yeah.
Just to go ahead the way they did, to look good, and then they would have been in a position where you'd suddenly say, well, you're favourite for the Premier's plate now. Your point's clear. You've just beaten the second best side. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. Really.
I know. It would have put them 4 points clear. It would have been huge for them if they'd been able to do it. That said, look, they do need to tighten up. When finals come around...
They're a good side.
They're a really good side.
They're young, they're exciting, they're great. No wonder they've sold out the last 2 home games with reason. They're great to watch.
I've been a few times this season. Harry, my 11-year-old, loves it, so we try and go whenever we can. But they're really watchable. They're great. So
still haven't been to a game there.
Never. Oh, have you?
No, I really want to do it.
Oh, you got to go.
It's like 10 minutes drive from our house. I don't know why I've never done it.
It's sensational. The atmosphere is brilliant. And a bit of a shout out to Sam Welsford, winning stage 2 of the Tour Down Under after falling off and being involved in an early crash. So that's a great effort.
I didn't see him get up and read the news, though.
Yeah. No, he didn't go that
like
far.
sodas.
Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
Call Gliderol now, order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Partly cloudy and 28 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? RAA approved repairer Complete Windscreens repairs it from just $99. Find the big red koala.
A house has been destroyed by fire at Parafield Gardens. Courtney Henderson from the MFS says fire crews arrived on the scene on Kellaway Street to find the home engulfed in flames.
Fire investigators have attended the scene and have advised that the cause is undetermined, with structural damage estimated at approximately $450,000.
Well, a hay shed was destroyed at Coalbatch in the Coorong last night, leaving a damage bill of around $650,000. Fresh polling shows the opposition leader is now preferred Prime Minister, ahead 39 to 34%. The latest Resolve poll shows half of voters worried about the cost of living expect inflation to rise in the coming year. 46% believe real wages will fall and want more assurances from the federal government. Prince Harry has accepted a $20 million payout in his battle with UK newspapers. Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers have agreed to pay damages over claims they used unlawful techniques to look into his private life. The case related to unlawful activity between 1996 and 2011, including the use of private investigators. Former Labor MP Tom Watson has praised Harry after he was the subject of unwarranted intrusion himself.
I once said that the big beasts of the tabloid jungle have no predators. I was wrong. They have Prince Harry. His bravery and astonishing courage have brought accountability to a part of the media world that thought it was untouchable.
One student's died and another's been injured in a school shooting in the US. The 17-year-old shooter killed himself after fatally wounding a female student at a Nashville high school. Donald Trump has given Homeland Security the authority to raid schools, hospitals and churches to arrest illegal immigrants. Thousands of additional US troops have also been sent to the southern border. Retired US naval officer William Parker says while it's a show of force, it is in line with the policies of previous leaders.
It's very consistent, though, with what Presidents Clinton, Bush and Obama said in the past. And as a matter of fact, Obama had deported more people than any other president before. And the consistency is certainly there. We're just now actually executing the laws that we said we would follow before.
Thousands of anti-Australia Day protesters are expected to unite with pro-Palestinian groups on Sunday for a mass protest which could disrupt Melbourne's CBD and the Australian Tennis Open. Business owners have been told to boost security and Tennis Australia has been working closely with police. Opposition leader Brad Batten has slammed the protests, which he describes as hateful and divisive.
This is a prime example where Victoria and Melbourne should be coming in as one and celebrating, getting people in the street, carrying your Australian flag, showing people why our amazing community is so awesome for the Australian Open, that we've got businesses open and thriving, not people walking down the street protesting against what our great nation is.
And after an initial backdown, hospitality giant Australian Venue Co has reaffirmed it won't acknowledge Australia Day in its pubs, instead urging Aussies to enjoy a long weekend. The foreign-owned company claims the day causes sadness and hurt for some patrons and its team. However, the hospo giant, with more than 200 pubs around the country, is refusing to say if it will apply public holiday surcharges this weekend. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Good morning, Tom Wren.
Good morning, Kendall. Let's start with tennis. Yannick Sinner has thrashed Alex de Minaur in straight sets at the Australian Open overnight. It was the world number one's 10th win from 10 encounters with Australia's best tennis player. He says he's expecting a much tougher test against American Ben Shelton in the semi-finals.
One of the best servers on tour, lefty, different, rotation of the ball is coming. So hopefully I'm ready. Hopefully I can return as many serves as possible, and then trying to stay very concentrated about my game.
Also advancing to the semi-finals were Shelton, while on the women's side, Iga Swiatek and Madison Keys went through. Well, Adelaide United has played out a 2-2 draw against Auckland FC. The result means the Reds are still on top of the table, 1 point clear of Auckland. Meantime, in Champions League action this morning, Arsenal is hosting Dinamo Zagreb. Manchester City are in Paris to play PSG, and Real Madrid host RB Salzburg. Those matches are just kicking off now. Aussie Sam Welsford has taken out Stage 2 of the Tour Down Under in the Barossa. Stage 3 will begin later this morning from Norwood. And in the NBL, the South East Melbourne Phoenix had an 11-point loss to the Sydney Kings, while Melbourne United beat the Perth Wildcats by 6 points. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, partly cloudy today, 26, mostly sunny tomorrow, 28, more of the same on Saturday, 29, and up to 35 on Sunday. Right now, 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes to 7. It is a beautiful morning out there as we look at the iPhone on a stick on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream. A reminder, you should always tune into the live stream. If you're sitting at home getting ready, you can cast it to the television. You get more information than just what you hear. There's rolling weather, there's news headlines. It's a wonderful job. Brooklyn Munn, the doyen of the live stream, does a terrific job. And incidentally, it is her birthday today, so happy birthday to you, Brookie.
Happy birthday, Brookie.
It is well worth your time to check out. She does a great job.
I got a text on my own phone from Ian, my old mate, the tow truck driver, who saved my Hi-Ace van when it blew up on the Southern Expressway, except today's on the Southeastern Freeway.
Oh, beautiful.
How good a photo is that? Just heading down towards the Mount Barker, Littlehampton turn-off there, heading east. And a stunning photograph. We'll put that up on the text line.
Great to get pictures from people out on the road. Jade Robrin is always out on the road for us, covering the big local stories and sometimes the big international or even royal stories. Jade, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Now, it is big news coming out of the UK this morning. As we just heard in the news, Prince Harry, he has claimed a monumental win against UK tabloids in a massive lawsuit. Now, here's some more information on what's happened. The tabloids owned by Australian Rupert Murdoch made an unprecedented apology for intruding in his life over decades, and they've agreed to pay a very substantial damages to settle his privacy invasion lawsuit. Now, News Group newspapers, they've offered a, quote, full and unequivocal apology to the Duke of Sussex for the serious intrusion by the Sun between 1996 and 2011 into his private life, including incidents of unlawful activities carried out by private investigators. Now, this is a huge moment because it is the first time the News Group newspapers have acknowledged any wrongdoing at the Sun, and they acknowledge that phone hacking, surveillance and misuse of private information by journalists and private investigators. Now, that's something they've been accused of for many, many years now. It feels like, since really Princess Diana's days that we've heard murmurs of it, but this really is the first time that anybody has come out and actually said, well, yes, it did happen. So it has been proven. You'd remember Princess Diana, she always expected it. Well, for Prince Harry, he has always tried to prove it, and for today he has had his moment. He's always vowed to take the case to trial to publicly expose the newspaper's wrongdoing, but it hasn't got to that. Now, even if it did go to trial and Harry won, under English law he faced astronomical legal bills, but we haven't heard from Prince Harry from his mouth. His lawyers, David Sherborne, he read out a statement on behalf of Harry where he said the outcome of the lawsuit was a monumental victory. This represents a vindication for the hundreds of other claimants who were strong-armed into settling without being able to get the truth of what was done to them. Now, we're just learning now that after the settlement, Prince Harry has called for the police and Parliament to investigate historic unlawful activities by the News Group newspapers. The BBC, they're reporting that Prince Harry will receive around $20 million in payouts and legal fees. In total, it's believed that the media organisation, that they've spent more than £1 billion in damages and costs to those claimants already. Now, Prince Harry, as we know, know, has spent the past 5 years pursuing the papers over this phone hacking scandal, and it's all come down to the 11th hour and that rare and very public apology. It's believed that that made up a very key part of the settlement deal that no doubt has put an end to what would have been an incredibly public and high-stakes trial, guys.
It's a great report, Jade. That was terrific. Thank you.
Shocking behaviour by that newspaper. And, resulted in the closure of its sister newspaper, The News of the World, by Rupert Murdoch, where he just crestfallen said, that's it, we are euthanizing this newspaper. No good can come of it.
Yeah. What if it's the end of that chapter? We should do some text, please, home care text line. They're
They're
ringing in thick and fast.
A lot of people talking about stacks inspired by Will's co-host at Channel 7, Sodas, who valiantly read the news yesterday with a broken hand after coming off his treadly in a charity ride for the Tour Down Under. Andrew, talking here about the lethal tram tracks too, as per Jerry, our caller earlier, when she was working down the bay as a postie. Andrew says, as a kid growing up in the bay in the 80s, I had the bike wheel get stuck in the tram tracks on Jetty Road a few times, and there's only one outcome when that happens. I was recently sitting outside a cafe, and the same happened to a guy right in front of us. I gave him a hand up and then I told him a story. Good on you, Andrew. And Rob says, the first time I swore in front of Mum was at the end of my first track bike race. The lads crashed in front of me. I managed to avoid them and complete my first race. And when I pulled up, Mum asked if I was all right. Without thinking, I said, did you see that bleeping stack? Well, I might not have fallen off my bike, but I didn't escape injury that day as a Benny Hill style. She smacked me up the back of the head, back to the car. Good on you, Rob. And good on your mother. Should have washed your damn mouth out with soap, young man.
That's right. 18 to 7. We're going to check traffic and come back with police and weather in just a moment. Thinking about selling your commercial property? You need advice? Well, talk to the experts at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Yeah, thanks, Will. Reports of a crash in North Adelaide at the moment, O'Connell Street near 10th Street. Apart from that, no other major issues. Of course, more Tour Down Under road closures in place today. Today around parts of Nord till about 2:30 and parts of Urayla till 7 tonight, among other places. And also road closures in place in St Mary's thanks to a burst water main. Aylif's Road between South Road and the Crescent detours in place there. The King Summer Sale is in its final days. Save up to 50% on selected Australian-designed award-winning furniture. Hurry, final days. Shop online or visit a King Living showroom today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The future of Australian caravanning is here. The all-new 2025 range by Crusader Caravans. Caravan Manufacturer of the Year. Built to be bold. Built to endure. Made in Australia. Find your local dealer today at crusadercaravans.com.au. Go on. Stand out. Crusader Caravans.
Hello, I'm Nick Mastro, Managing Director of Distinctive Funerals. My team and I wish you and your family all the best for 2025. On a really bright note, we've celebrated another trip around the sun. We've made it through another silly season. We're still here. Congratulations. I do hope that you do not need to see me this year. But if you do need us, call 8241 5151. Distinctive Funerals. By your side, helping you cherish a life.
Are you in an event space, like a wedding venue, sports club or restaurant? Well, if so, you're probably well acquainted with plastic trestle tables. You know the ones that don't line up properly and you try to push them together and it doesn't quite fit. They got bung legs, they might have slanting tabletops, and what they end up doing is they take your event space from a 10 to a 7.5.
Well, let us be the bearers of good news, because Scott's Custom Furniture, they craft sturdy, stable and level trestle tables, and they look great, made from beautiful Australian timber. In fact, they're so nice, covering them up with a tablecloth even feels wrong.
If you're after trestle tables that will last a lifetime, well, simply search for Scott's Custom Furniture and get in touch with them today. And here's good news too, if you're looking for a gig. If you're a carpenter, you're a furniture maker, or you're looking to learn on an apprenticeship, well, they're looking for people to join their small dynamic team today. So, give them a call.
This summer, things are heating up. So crank the aircon and get your bash on, your bake on, your bike on, your mini on.
And we'll never stop until we know the answer to everything.
Binge. It all happens here.
Steinborner Automotive in Gawler, Nooriutpur and Clare has always been well worth the trip, even more so with their 41st birthday sale. Steinborner has purchased over 400 certified vehicles, SUVs and 4x4s, all with free roadside assist, and ripped $500,000 off normal prices across the range with $1,500 trade-in bonus on all trade-ins. Plus, deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford, Mitsubishi, Jack and Mazda. Visit steinborner.com.au.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
15 minutes to 7. Let's talk about the weather today because it's just a good news story at the moment. Hannah Marsh at the Weather Bureau has the details for us. Morning to you, Hannah.
Good morning, David and Will.
Just lovely. It feels like we get lovely day after lovely day at the moment.
Yeah, we are looking at milder conditions at the moment with a maximum of 26 degrees. We have had a minimum of 14.6 degrees. That was just before 6:15 this morning. There is the possibility of seeing a light shower as we head deeper into the morning period and early afternoon, but we're generally looking at less than 2 millimetres in it, and they will mainly be about the hills and southern suburbs. Having a look at the maximums through other centres, we're looking at 27 at Elizabeth, 25 for Glenelg and Noarlunga, and 24 for Mount Barker. Tomorrow we'll gradually see the temperature increase and the cloud clear, so we're looking at mostly sunny 28 degrees, getting up to 29 on Saturday. But for the long weekend, we are looking at 35 degrees on Sunday, 34 degrees on Monday before that change does come through, dropping the temperature back to 28 degrees for Tuesday.
Good.
Beautiful stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hannah. Hannah Marsh at the Bureau of Meteorology. Let's head to Sapole. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan joins us. Jen, quite sadly, there was a fatal crash at Burton last night.
Yes, there was. Good morning. It was about 11:15 last night. Police and emergency services were called to Waterloo Corner Road after reports of a crash between a Suzuki motorbike and a truck. Now, the rider of the bike, a 52-year-old man from Paralari, he sadly died at the scene, and the driver of the truck, a 53-year-old local man, he wasn't injured. The major crash did attend at the scene to examine the circumstances of that crash, and the road was closed until 5 o'clock this morning. So that man is the 5th life lost on the S8 roads this year.
Very sad news. Jen, also, a young lady's been arrested for interfering with cars in Coromandel Valley this morning.
Yeah, so police were called to Coorong Crescent just after midnight after a boy was seen trying car door handles on the street, and patrols responded and located him on Sandow Crescent, where he was found to be in possession of a credit card and other items allegedly stolen from a car parked in the area. So that 14-year-old local boy has been charged with illegal interference and theft, and he's finding himself in court in February.
Rightly so. Good stuff. Thank you for that, Jen. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan from Sapole.
12 to 7 after 7 o'clock this morning. We're going to talk about medicine shortages at pharmacies. If you have been a victim of this, we'd love to hear your story. How long did you have to wait? What did it mean trying to run around to alternative places? Did you have to go without? 8223 0000. Whole manner of very commonplace things that we just have shortages of in this country at the moment. 90% of all medicines get made overseas. It just costs too much to make them here, and that's part of the issue. We'd love to hear your stories. Coming up, Matt Abraham will dissect the spin of the summer, I think we should say, given it's his first segment of the year. Koch on for the very first time, and the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett, after 8:30.
What percentage of anything gets made here anymore?
Great point. Yeah, for the same reason.
I mean 90% of everything gets made somewhere else, i.e. China.
Yeah. Yeah, that is absolutely correct.
Amazing.
Tim Lester is in Washington, D.C. To say Tim Lester has had an interesting week would be, I think, the greatest understatement ever uttered. Tim, good morning to you.
How are you guys?
Well, not as busy as you, Tim. You've got about 500 different stories to cover at the moment. It's just been head-spinning stuff, hasn't it?
It's been extraordinary, and it's a reminder of Donald Trump's style, and he is the great headline hog, the man who does carpet bomb the news media, and you never know which way to look. So yes, it's very like that, and it's like that this morning. He's got the Justice Department now threatening to prosecute state officials who obstruct his great big immigration plan to deport immigrants who don't have paperwork. He's also told Russia that he's now thinking about slapping tariffs on them unless they quickly get to a deal on Ukraine. He's done his first TV interview too, one-on-one. We'll see that on Fox News later today. And he's told everybody in the government's diversity, equity and inclusion, in other words, a bullseye for what he would see as woke. He's told them not to turn up to work. Essentially, they've all been laid off, and essentially they're all going to be sacked. So that's one morning in the life of Donald Trump.
Tim, how do you see the deportation issue playing out? Because something I've watched really, really closely, I read about it all the time, but he's never actually walked through exactly how committed he is to expelling all of the estimated 12 million undocumented residents of the United States, a lot of whom make up the majority of workers in a lot of key industries.
That is absolutely right. America lives on the work that a great many immigrants, and some of them illegal, many of them illegal, not with the paperwork required necessarily to stay in the country, do for America. They're an extraordinarily important part of this country's economy. Now, they've started by saying, yes, but the ones we want to deport immediately, not longer term, but immediately, are the hardened criminals and those who present a violent threat to society. Well, there's certainly going to be some of them, but if he's to achieve the kind of mass deportation, anything like it that he's talked about, he's going to have a profound economic effect on his own country. And you'd have to think at some point they're going to go, let's not push this too hard anymore, because the further they go, the more difficult it will become.
Well, the old lawns at Mar-a-Lago and the quality of the food in the Mar-a-Lago restaurant would decline pretty rapidly without all the Latinos there.
It could go down. Exactly. And you'd think at that point they'd start reconsidering things.
Yeah, that's right. Great stuff, Tim.
Good on you, Tim. Tim Lester in Washington, D.C.
What a time to be there, hey?
Oh,
it would have just been incredible.
Every day. There's just a series of extraordinary announcements and things.
Have you seen the photographs of Aussie mining magnate Gina Reinhardt having a bit of a bromantic hug with our man from Argentina, Javier Milei?
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a great photo that's emerged overnight of the two of them together, like arm in arm. It's hysterical.
Sure she would love the Australian government to import a bit of Javier Milei hands-off approach to the mining sector.
Well, Gina Reinhardt, overnight, she did an interview where she said that she thinks that whoever is elected, and in her view, there's only one person who should be, and that's Peter Dutton. But she said that the next Prime Minister of Australia should do exactly what Trump has done with Elon Musk and set up a DOGE, a Department of Government Expenditure, and go line by line through every single cent that Canberra spends with a view to just cutting as much as they can.
I mean, that should just be what they do every year anyway. I don't know why you need a department for that. Like, it should be this part and parcel of good government. Have you seen...
To keep a lid on things.
That's right.
To stop overspending.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't you reckon culturally the opposite seems to be the case in Australia, where at the end of the year,
everyone
the end of the
spends up to the
financial year, you got to go, hang on, we better get rid of all this extra money, or else we won't get the same amount next year.
That's 100% the culture that exists. I wonder how long Elon Musk is going to be of benefit to Donald Trump and that administration.
Well, of benefit or friends with?
Yes, because he was obviously of huge benefit during the campaign. He's the power he wields on X as a news site and a site for people commenting and exchanging information was massive. He's got a lot of money and he brings a lot of focus. But there was a bit of a crack yesterday in a little-known policy that, again, on any other day might have been a big story. Did you see what they call the Stargate project? The Stargate project.
Is this the AI thing?
This is the AI thing that they're building. These huge data centres. They want to raise $500 billion, and it's companies are involved. OpenAI, so that's Sam Altman, and Elon Musk used to be a part of that, which is notable in this story. And Larry Ellison, who's a huge billionaire. These guys are all there at the Trump inauguration, and Trump, it's a Trump policy. He said, "Yep, we're going to bring these guys together and build this because I want to make the United States number one when it comes to AI, and we need the infrastructure to do it, and so on and so forth. Make America great again." Yeah. Elon Musk got on Twitter and, in reply to one of the news articles, said, "These guys don't have the money for this," because he's got beef with them. He's suing Sam Altman. He thinks OpenAI have abandoned their original agenda of being a non-for-profit and so forth.
So
he's undermined a Trump policy 3 days in.
Yeah.
And
don't you reckon when you think about Trump's personality and his irascibility and how he can suddenly just have a blow up and go, "No, sorry, you're dead to me." In his first term, we'd come in every morning, and I reckon at least one day a week he'd sack somebody overnight.
Yeah.
And these are people like that Scaramucci guy or his former female press sec, like, well, you know, was it his attorney general, or like people who had all these serious jobs. Like, they had the least safe professions in the world in the first year of the Trump presidency, and for a lot of the whole first term. So history would suggest that unless Trump's totally changed his personality, he's going to have all these fights with people, and he's going to be in love with them and then fall out of them really quickly, because that's what he's always done in his life.
Yeah. I think it made one of the most compelling points he made during the debates on that point was when people said, "You've got all these ex-people that come back that have worked for you that say you're terrible." And he said, "Yeah, I sack people who aren't good at their job. You know why no one says anything bad about the other guys? Because they're all the bad people are still working there." I thought it was a really good rebuttal to that sort of line of attack. But that is
actually emblematic of a certain stream of real hard-edge free enterprise thought in the US. I remember seeing a speech once by Jack Welch, the head of General Electric, where he said he was explaining this company's rule that every year he had to promote 10% of his staff and sack 10% of his staff and ignore 80% of his staff. What a brutal way of dealing with it.
Yeah, it's savage, isn't it?
But someone asked him a question and said, "Oh, Mr. Welsh, if you were going to give someone a tip going into business, what's the one quality in terms of hiring people? What's the one quality that you look for?" And he sort of thought for a moment. He said, "You know, those kind of people you meet when you say, 'How are you?' and they start telling you, 'Well, actually, since you asked, I'm not that good. We've got my mother-in-law, she's been unwell. My wife's a bit depressed, so I don't want to hear about your personal life.' You know, people like that, you just don't hire them. Just get out of my face. We're here to do our jobs." And part of me, I sort of went,
"Yeah,
I kind of like that approach." But it's a completely different way of operating, isn't it?
Bit of support for the Department of Government Efficiency coming through on the Police Home Care text line. Andrew, Mike and Tom all say Gina Reinhardt is right. We need that sort of department here in Australia. Who knows? It's an election year. Anything could happen. 5AA News is coming up. We'll take you through a wrap of the morning stories coming up, but stick around. Matt Abraham after 7:30 dissecting the spin of the summer.
Attention all golfers! Golf Clearance Outlet has opened its doors in Adelaide and is celebrating with the Big Open. Huge savings on golf clubs, balls, clothes, shoes, bags, buggies and golf accessories. Bridgestone Tour B golf balls $44. Callaway wedges just $168. Women's package sets from $399. And golf caps starting from $15. Rush in now to 475 Port Road, Croydon for the Golf Clearance Outlet's Big Open and save on everything golf.
Are you or someone you know living with epilepsy? 1 in 25 Australians will develop epilepsy at some stage in their lives. The Epilepsy Centre in Adelaide is dedicated to raising awareness in the community to reduce the stigma and create a more welcoming and inclusive society. We do this by providing epilepsy awareness and seizure first aid to people living with epilepsy, their families and friends. Thanks to state government funding, we can offer this education at no cost. For more information, go to epilepsycentre.org.au.
$20,000. Now's your last chance to win it. Edwardstown Mazda's incredible 2024 plate clearance sale is in its final stages with huge factory bonuses and massive discounts. Plus at Edwardstown Mazda and only Edwardstown Mazda, every purchase sends you straight into the draw to win $20,000. Yep, that's $20,000. Why would you go anywhere else?
It's gotta be
Edwardstown Mazda, the #1 destination for Mazda in SA. T's and C's apply. T24/1786.
Whatever your path, Australian Super is committed to delivering the best super experience, helping members like Warwick.
Look at the numbers, understand it, get in control of it. The sooner you start, the better.
Whatever your path, we're with you. It's Australian, it's super, and it's yours. Visit australiansuper.com/yourpath. Read the PDS and TMD at australiansuper.com.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
Up to the minute news for South Australia. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Partly cloudy and 26. With the 7 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Make RAA approved windscreen repairer, Complete Windscreens, your insurer repairer of choice. Visit completewindscreens.com.au.
Prince Harry's had an historic legal victory, winning a battle against a UK newspaper group for serious intrusion into his private life. More from Edward Godfrey.
Prince Harry and Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers have come to a last-minute out-of-court settlement, with NGN to pay substantial damages, believed to be around 20 million Australian dollars. The group's flagship, The Sun, issuing an unequivocal apology for unlawful news-gathering practices between 1996 and 2011, including phone hacking, surveillance and misuse of private information. It also acknowledged the distress caused by the serious intrusion into Harry's and his late mother, Princess Diana's, personal lives. The Duke was a co-claimant along with former British politician Tom Watson. His barrister, David Sherborne, calling the settlement a monumental victory. There may be more to play out in the saga. Harry's legal team wants UK police to investigate.
There's been a fatal crash in Burton overnight. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says a motorbike and a truck collided on Waterloo Corner Road.
The rider of the bike, a 52-year-old man from Paralari, he sadly died at the scene, and the driver of the truck, a 53-year-old local man, he wasn't injured. The major crash did attend at the scene to examine the circumstances of that crash, and the road was closed until 5 o'clock this morning. So that man is the 5th life lost on the S8 roads this year.
A house went up in flames at Parafield Gardens last night. The blaze broke out on Kellaway Street just before 9. The cause is undetermined, with damage estimated at $450,000. While the cause of a hay shed fire at Coalbatch in the Coorong's under investigation, it destroyed the shed and everything inside, leaving a damage bill of around $650,000. Half of Australian voters are expecting real wages and inflation to get worse this year. The latest Resolve poll shows the coalition's being trusted more on cost of living issues. Peter Dutton has passed Anthony Albanese as preferred PM, ahead 39 to 34%. Over 30,000 people are expected to march in Melbourne for an anti-Australia Day protest on Sunday, sparking concerns for the Australian Open. Christina Hearns there.
Businesses in the CBD have been told to once again prepare for a big Invasion Day rally of around 30,000 people. Police are expecting pro-Palestinian protesters to join in the rally and this year march through the CBD to the Australian Open. Victoria Police say they are aware of a planned protest outside Melbourne Park on January 26 and have been talking with event organisers about their plans. The Australian Open has ignored Australia Day for the past 2 years, but this year Tournament Director Craig Tiley says there will be a full Australia Day ceremony ahead of the men's final.
While hospitality giant Australian Venue Co is standing firm on not acknowledging Australia Day, instead encouraging Aussies to celebrate the long weekend. The foreign-owned company faced backlash after revealing it was banning Australia Day celebrations because it caused sadness and hurt for some patrons and its team. US police are investigating a school shooting in Nashville. The 17-year-old attacker shot dead a girl inside the high school's cafeteria before turning the gun on himself. 2 others were injured. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. It's been a disappointing end to Alex de Minaur's Australian Open campaign, with the Aussie comprehensively beaten by the defending champion. Jordan Tunbridge was courtside at Melbourne Park.
A straight sets loss in the quarterfinals of his home Grand Slam. Alex de Minaur lost to Yannick Sinner for the 10th time in 10 encounters.
It's been too many times playing him and seeing the same thing, so I'm not even surprised anymore when I face him and matches like these happen.
The Aussie hit 10 winners to Sinner's 27 as his poor serving was punished, but after a career-best run at Melbourne Park, the 25-year-old expects to come back stronger.
I still don't think this is my ceiling. I still think I've got more in the tank, so I'll be searching for that.
And so the men's semi-finalists have now been set. Yannick Sinner versus Ben Shelton, Novak Djokovic up against Alexander Zverev.
To soccer now, Adelaide United has played out a 2-2 draw at home against Auckland FC in the top of the table A-League clash. Now the result means the Reds are still a point clear at the top. Meantime, Arsenal has made a quick start in their Champions League clash against Dinamo Zagreb, scoring in just the second minute.
Martinelli giving Rostovski a difficult time and a possibility straight away, and an extraordinary start for Arsenal. Declan Rice.
Audio there thanks to Stan Sport. The Gunners still 1-0 up about half an hour in. Elsewhere, Manchester City's locked at 0-0 against Paris Saint-Germain, while Celtic is now 1-0 up against Young Boys. Let's go to cricket, and the Sydney Thunder's season is still alive after a 21-run win against the Melbourne Stars. They'll now play against the Sydney Sixers for a spot in the grand final. And Stage 3 of the Tour Down Under will begin in Norwood this morning before winding up in Uradla. Sam Welsford is the man to catch after securing a second stage win in as many days. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Selling your commercial property for top dollar is made easier with the team at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
And good morning. Reports of a crash at the moment in North Adelaide on O'Connell Street near 10th Street. More to it and under road closures in place today, including around parts of Norwood today till about 2:30 and parts of Urayla till around 7 tonight. Got roads closed in St Mary's thanks to a burst water main. Alifs Road between South Road and the Crescent. And look out for urgent sewer works in Northfield, Grand Junction Road near Cox Terrace. Panadol helps relieve everyday pain. Not the pain of hearing, "Are we there yet?" 100 times, but for the headache it gives you. Panadol's got you covered. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. Incorrect use could be harmful. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
To the weather, partly cloudy and 26, mostly sunny tomorrow, 28, mostly sunny again on Saturday, 29 and up to 35 for Sunday. Right now it's 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
The news and issues that matter to South Australia. Always Adelaide. This is 5AA.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
7 after 7, good morning to you and welcome to Thursday morning. If you're joining us for the first time, David on the Police Home Care text line. Thank you. David sent us through some pictures of a fire engine and traffic congestion in North Adelaide. He says, don't know why, but it's opposite the Ampol petrol station. Hope you're listening, David. Just a moment ago in the traffic during news, there's a crash on O'Connell Street near 10th Street that is likely the source of that congestion this morning, the reason there are some appliances in attendance. So that's what's happening there. As always, we love it, folks, when you fire through questions and point us to things that are happening out on the road each and every morning, because so often no one's aware of it until you send it through, and then we can do some follow-up work and find out what's happening. Similar to Mark, who texted us a short time ago. He says, at Modbury Heights, around Kelly Road, there's a kangaroo out exploring. So what drivers watch out. Thank you for that, Mark. If anyone's seen the kangaroo in the area, we'd appreciate a picture of that one too. That'd be good to put up on the live stream.
We were talking about that at the zoo yesterday afternoon on our little family school holiday visit, late Arvo, about seeing the kangaroos there that are next to the, there's a few dingoes as well, where the Australian marsupials and monotremes are. And one of the kids said, it's weird having kangaroos here at the zoo when they're
often bounding around the
It's
suburbs.
like finding a sparrow.
Yeah.
Going, oh, wow.
Wow, a seagull.
Yeah, that's right. But for people overseas, like when my mate Simon, who lives in China, came over and we were walking through the scrub at Aldinga and his daughter saw a kangaroo for the first time ever in her life, and she just lost it. She was so excited. She's only 8 years old.
Yeah.
She was crying with joy, and it was a bit of a reminder that as Aussies we take this stuff for granted.
Totally blasé about unique fauna.
Maybe the Beijing breakfast show are currently having a discussion. You know, there's a place called Adelaide where every time they see a panda, they think it's the most amazing thing ever.
All right, let's get into the news on this Thursday morning. We've been asking you throughout the morning, do we have any listeners who have gone to the pharmacist recently and found that there is the prescription they want filled, the pharmacist can't because there's simply a lack of the drug around. There are 419 medications that are considered in critical short supply across Australia at the moment. So what pharmacists then do is try and source it from alternate avenues. It's a mad scramble to try and get things. A study by the University of South Australia found some pretty intriguing causes behind some of the shortages. For example, Ozempic. We now all know it as a weight loss measure. It's a diabetes medication.
Yeah.
And there are people with diabetes that can't get it because, well, social media is driving this mad rush to get Ozempic because as people try and lose weight. Have a listen to pharmacist Johnny Silvestri, who was on 7 News last night.
We've had an increase in phone calls and a lot of distress for the customers because there have been 2-3 weeks where they've gone without medication. It's a lot more expensive to produce medication here, but probably from the government just a little bit more of a stockpile of medications. So if something was to go out of stock, we've got an emergency supply.
So that's notable. Couple of things there. Customers going 2 to 3 weeks without medicines. That's crazy in Australia. 90% of medicines are imported, and that's why we simply can't just amp up production to try and make up for the shortfall. And what Johnny Silvestri is alluding to there in terms of help from the federal government, we might do some more work on this a little bit later in the program, is yes, we don't make them here, but we import them and we control how much of a backlog we've got, how much of a stockpile we've got. They're saying it's time to get the stockpile bigger because the demands are greater, they're more varied, and maybe there's even a fashionable element to it as well with a thing like Ozempic becoming suddenly popular. So we might talk through that a little bit later in the program as well, but if you've fallen victim to it, 8223 0000, we would love to hear from you. Our mates Venue Co are back in the news again this morning.
Are they?
Venue Co.
What have they done now? They got a new declaration about how we should and shouldn't behave. This is the
they've got
the Chinese-owned people who think that we shouldn't celebrate Australia Day.
They've got an old declaration that's new again. So a couple of months ago, you might recall Venue Co, owner of 200 pubs across the country. They only have had them for a couple of years. A Hong Kong-based company that just took carriage of the business. And they said, they're not celebrating Australia Day. It's divisive and so forth. They don't want any part of it. There will be no Australia Day flags or schnitty in a beer on Australia Day specials.
They only said
at their venues.
They only said it for about 18 hours after the people of Australia made it very clear what they thought of their declaration.
Well, yeah. Well, that was then when they said they accepted that their position caused concern and confusion. I'll just read their statement from back then. They said, "We sincerely regret that our purpose is to reinforce community in our venues, not divide it. It's not for us to tell anyone whether or how to celebrate Australia Day. Whether you choose to celebrate Australia Day or not, everyone is welcome in our pubs, always. We have been and are always open over Australia Day, and we continue to book events for patrons." Now everyone interpreted that as we got it wrong. An about face. Not so, we've learnt this morning. They have reaffirmed that they will not be acknowledging Australia Day in their pubs, as we're a couple of days out from the event. Instead, encouraging Aussies to enjoy a long weekend. They say the day causes sadness and hurt for some patrons and their team.
Hang on. So they made the original declaration.
Yes.
Then they recanted and apologised for it, and now they've reissued the original one.
Yeah.
How much damage are they trying to do to their business? And talking about causing stress for staff, I'm not going to name any of the pubs that they own here in Adelaide because I don't want, real uber patriot, proud boy type yahoos turning up, getting in the faces of the barmaids. But there's already evidence that the staff are the ones, they're frontline staff, and I reckon the people who own pubs, I'm currently pointing in the direction of one of them that I know, it's a great pub. I don't even think that the actual publicans would be across this stuff. It would be the very equity inclusion departments that Trump is getting rid of in the US. It would be some hand-wringer in head office in Melbourne who's managing all of this, and the board, all ticking their environmental / social / governments / reconciliation plan KPIs. And next thing you know, there's some bloke walking into a pub in South Australia going, I'm never drinking in your effing pub again. Like, that's... So if they're talking about causing trouble for their staff, I reckon they're creating trouble for their staff.
This was a situation that was handled badly, and somehow they've handled it worse. I don't know. I've never seen anything like it.
We're running ads at the moment for the Kent Town, who've decided that the ad says that Australia is such a good country that you can't just celebrate it one day. They're having a whole month of Australia Days. I know that this Sunday, in a reverse of what the national broadcaster has been doing for years now, with Triple J declaring that, January 26 is so emotionally harrowing for people that they can't play 100 songs in a row on it. They have to do that on a different day now. Well, I know the Arca Bar this Sunday night have got an Oz Music spectacular, where they've got some crackerjack cover band who are going to be playing,
Nice.
Akadaka and Oils and In Excess and everything. So I think what we're seeing, and you made the excellent point yesterday, Will, is the more preachy and the more mandated opinions set down, in ancient rock from upon high, we're getting from all of these boardroom activist types, the more entrenched people's support for Australia Day has become. But it's actually got to the point where it's creating a business opportunity, as we saw last year with Drake's, where they decided to fill their stores with flags after old Banducci, the now forgotten former CEO at Woolworths, did a bit of, we're not going to be stocking the flags this year. And the thing is, whenever these companies say it, they're never really that honest about why they're doing it. Because remember, Woolworths said, we are not stocking flags or serviettes.
Because there's not much demand.
Which isn't it? People don't really want to buy them. Enter stage left, John Paul Drake goes, oh no, there's demand, all right. Get into Drake's and buy them. They made a mozza. So it's actually the PC-ness of others is the cash cow of those who are in lockstep with the mainstream on these issues.
Just lastly, the Federal Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, is just speaking at the moment. We might just have a quick listen into what he's had to say.
You're right to say it was a controversial decision at the time. Our opponents said that they'd absolutely roll back these tax cuts, but it was the right decision because it meant that every Australian taxpayer got a tax cut to help with the cost of living, not just some taxpayers. And so what we're seeing over the course of this financial year is every taxpayer getting a tax cut. That tax cut will grow in the next financial year because wages are up as well. And so if you think about how we're combating the very real and genuine cost of living pressures that people are confronting, we've got unemployment low, we've got inflation down, we've got wages up, and that means the tax cuts are bigger as well. And that's because the defining purpose of this Albanese Labor government is to make sure more people are working, earning more and keeping more of what they earn. And that's what the decision that we took a year ago from Saturday is all about.
It's just a tough argument for this government to make at the moment, isn't it? That people are better off or better off than they would be.
Reminds me a bit of old Harold Macmillan in Britain in the 1960s. You've never had it so good. And that didn't really work for old Harold.
Yeah,
wasn't he the one? His bigger problem was it John Profumo, who was putting it about with that starlet Christine Keeler? That'll happen at the same time, I think.
Yeah, that complicates things.
Yeah, nothing like that happening in Canberra though.
If you want a chart that will depress you about Australia's state in the world at the moment, just have a look at Australian household disposable income versus the OECD versus the United States, Canada and other places. They're going up. We're going down. In fact, we're going down at a rate faster than any other OECD country at the moment. Appreciating our starting position was high, but Australians just have less money in their pocket. And pretending everyone's richer because their house is worth more
that's irrelevant.
is a false economy.
Well, you're going to sell it and go and live in a park?
You can't sell a door to pay bills.
Yeah, correct.
And I find it I find it infuriating sometimes the way we talk about wealth in this country. 18 after 7, 8223 is the number. You can text us too on the Police Home Care text line, 048008 1395. Matt Abraham, not too far away. We're going to check traffic first and come back with more in just a moment.
Yeah, look out for a crash this morning in North Adelaide. That's on O'Connell Street near 10th Street. Got more to it and under road closures in place today, including around parts of Nord today till about 2:30 and parts of FIVEAA till around 7 tonight. And look out for urgent sewer works in Northfield, Grange Junction Road near Cox Terrace, and urgent works in Flinders Park, Grange Road near Douglas Street, affecting city-bound traffic. Get up to $400 off when you pre-order the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra on a payment plan at Telstra. Offer ends March 10. Eligibility criteria apply based on 1TB variant. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Graham Goodings. Another council's muddied the waters surrounding Australia Day. Many Adelaide Hills residents are unhappy about it. It involves Mount Barker Council's funding and promotion of a Survival Day event on January 26. David Leach is the Mayor of Mount Barker District Council.
Aboriginal people who are my friends say to me that they are harmed by those words.
Graham Goodings. But you're not taking into account the majority. Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Hi, Brett Ebert here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. We've been doing deals on a huge range of 2024 plate Mazdas, and we've just received truckloads more of them, all priced to clear. These drive-away deals on new Mazdas include free 12 months rego, free stamp duty, and accessory packs worth $500. Yep, absolutely free. All exclusive to Mawson Lakes Mazda. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
Summer's here. Time to get your new Walco pool blanket. Made from quality materials, a Walco pool blanket will keep your pool clean, warm, and reduce evaporation. Uncover the savings now. Visit walco.com.au.
Now, some things never get old, not in style and certainly not in durability, like Nordic Design Furniture.
Nordic Design Furniture is the type of furniture your grandkids will be arguing over because it's just that good.
SA family owned and operated, Nordic Design Furniture is synonymous with masterfully creating bespoke pieces by hand right here in McGill.
You can literally choose any piece of Nordic Design Furniture and have anything added or taken from it. The legs, back and armrests, you can make them shorter or longer. The materials can be swapped in and out. Dining tables. You want a dining table at any length, they'll make it. They can even help you sketch something if it's in your head what you want, and then they'll make it to the highest standards.
So call into the Nordic Design Furniture showroom on McGill Road in Stepney. They're open 7 days. Visit their Instagram page or explore the collection online at nordicdesign.com.au. They don't just make furniture, they make it for you.
When you buy Fluorio Milk Company milk, you're pretty much buying direct from the farmer. We bottle it and send it straight to the supermarket. We deliver it ourselves too. It means we can give SA dairy farmers the best possible price per litre. So when you buy Fluorio milk, you're supporting SA dairy farmers and their families. Plus, your money stays here in SA. And in these times, that's good for all of us. Look for the local in your supermarket. Fluorio Milk Company. We're for SA dairy farmers.
Dockside Festival returns this Feb at the historic Hearts Mill in Port Adelaide. Over 2 vibrant days, this free family event celebrates the Port River with water sports and live music on the wharf. Dive into interactive workshops, the best street food, plus creative installations showcasing the area's thriving art scene with exhibits, performances and local makers. Mark it on the calendar. Dockside Festival 8th and 9th of Feb. Celebrate the port, the river and its people. docksidefestival.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes after 7, Jade Robran out on the road for us in just a moment. Let's take a call first, though. Carlos has called in from Victor Harbour on 8223 Morning, Carlos.
Morning, lads. This venue code thing really takes the jam out of my bloody donut, I'll tell you. I am seriously over this stuff. I think most Australians are. I think the luckiest day in my life was when my parents decided to come to this country and immigrate and give me an absolute amazing future. And I'll be bloody celebrating Australia Day and very much proud of it. And I'd like to say that I came from a country that now has started to turn the corner, with it being Argentina, with our friend Mr. Nile, and I hope that we can get some sort of a doge here or something to do a mass deportation of all these people with the term DEI in front of their job title.
God, you, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. 8223 0000. I remember this text from Paul that came through a short time ago. Paul said, I'm a diabetic. I recently qualified for Ozempic. However, I had to visit at least 5 pharmacies before I could get the medicine. One store said they sell out every morning. Another said they do not stock it because it's too much trouble. I've better things to do than tour the suburbs. It's not good enough.
I just got a text from a friend who's got exactly the same situation. Another person I know says that a lot of menopause-related medicine, estrogen patches, things like that, have been running low. And, you know, this is the thing, like, you know, people with these conditions, particularly in the Ozempic space, they end up having to do a tour of chemist warehouses of Adelaide and environs in order to service their condition.
Paul, let's call it what it is. So Paul's a diabetic. He needs it. He needs it to maintain his quality of life, or maybe even his life, depending on the status of his diabetes. The rest of the people on Ozempic are trying to make their Instagram photos look better. They have friendly GPs. They do. It's a fashionable thing to do for weight loss, and not everyone who's on it is on it because they're prescribed because they are in a dangerous category of weight. It's just not true.
Oh no,
it's fashionable,
but it needs to be treated as a new category of drug. I think because its purpose and its use are completely poles apart.
Correct.
So what's happened is if it's for people who've tried other ways of losing weight and they think, well, maybe I can take this as a weight loss drug, then it needs to be produced in accordance with the demand that now exists for it.
I've heard too many cases, anecdotally, of people who aren't in a dangerous weight category that have found access to it somehow.
Well,
and I think, and Paul ends up with it. Paul ends up without being able to get it.
Yeah,
and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I reckon if you did a quick straw poll in the car park at Burnside Village and asked people there how many, in a confidential survey, are you or have you ever taken Ozempic?
Yeah,
I think you'd be stunned by the answer that you get because it has become
and maybe it will have long-term application as a great. But I just feel like it's not necessarily getting to the most acute cases, shall we say?
Yeah, but if I mean, trying to lose weight is not a crime.
No.
And if people think this can help me, then I'm going to take it, then fair enough.
But there are people that
you shouldn't
need it.
muscle the diabetics out of the way
Yes.
when perhaps a gym membership and a couple less bottles of wine a week might be the answer.
Yeah, then there are people that do need it. But there are people that I think are right on the margin, and Paul misses out. Let's check in with Jade Robber, who's out on the road this morning for us. Morning, Jade.
Good morning, guys. I am on the parade in Norwood because Stage 3 of the Tour Down Under, it kicks off. They're putting the finishing touches to what will be the start just out front of the clock here at Town Hall. It is very, very quiet, surprisingly. I think maybe people thought that it was going to be crazy busy, but the cafes are actually quite empty right now. The stage kicks off at Norwood at about 10 minutes past 11 and winds its way through Adelaide's beautiful Adelaide Hills. So passes through towns like Lenswood, Balhanna, Harndorf, Mount Barker, Echunga, Jupiter Creek, and Stirling, Aldgate, Mylor. And for the first time, you can actually get involved this year. So they are the people that are around at the moment. We've got groups of cyclists that are warming up because you can participate today as a cyclist. You can get a group together or just yourself and follow in the footsteps of our cycling greats. Now, there is a new hill climb today. It's called Knott's Hill Climb. It's on Pound Road near Ashton. It is a big challenge for the world's best today. It says that it features unrelenting stage uphill battle for those world-class cyclists. But I caught up with a group that have come over from Brisbane because, as we know, this event attracts people from every corner of our beautiful state, but also a lot of cycling enthusiasts come from all over the world, all over the country. Here's a group from Brizzy who are taking part in the challenge today. I'm here with Ian. He's decked out in his lycra. You guys are looking great. There's about, 20 of you guys?
18 of us today. 18
Fantastic.
riding, yes.
And you're here because you're going to follow them all the way up to Uradla?
Well, we're going to go to the top and then we'll come back and watch the start.
And are you a specific cycling group or a bunch of friends that get together at this time every year?
We're a bunch of friends that get together every week called Graceful Bike Group Community. We're not a recognised club, but we come down every year. Well, some of them come every year. 5 years since we had so many of us together, 2020, 2025. So it's good though.
And graceful because you are so elegant on these bikes?
No, because we live there, in Graceful in Brisbane.
Brilliant. So you've come down to Adelaide for the week?
Specifically for this, yeah.
And what do you love about the event so much?
Oh, just the camaraderie, getting together. We do the rides in the morning, see all of the professional riders. They're a little bit faster than us though.
Just a teeny tiny little bit. Now, we've got your Cal mate who's got a backpack on the back with a whole lot of Barbies. What does this represent?
Well, you know, this is all about getting into the atmosphere of the group, and, you know, they give the responsibility of the two precious Barbies to a couple of guys.
Irresponsible guys.
Yeah.
Well, I will leave you with that responsibility. You guys ride safely today and have a great time.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, another perfect day for the Tour Down Under. Phil Liggett will be on the program after 8:30 today as well. Looking forward to chatting with him. He'll probably be doing his ride at the moment. He does a ride every morning that he's, I think every morning that he's alive, frankly, but certainly during the TDU.
So I was just looking at Pound Road, Ashton, on my phone on the map, and that's a beautiful part of the hills. So that's that bit sort of goes round through to Basket Range. But there's that amazing building there. It looks like some old medieval castle on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
Yeah, I know the exact spot you're talking
It's
about.
wild.
It's spectacular. We're going to take a break. 5AA News is coming up in just a moment.
9 out of 10, out of 10, every time.
Matt Abraham joins us for the first time this year.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Partly cloudy and 26. With the 7:30 news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? RAA approved repairer Complete Windscreens repairs it from just $99. Find the big red koala.
Cost of living's emerging as the number one issue for voters, with 50% expecting inflation to get worse in the near future. Katie Fuller reports.
The latest Resolve survey shows 46% of voters expect real wages to fall this year, and political analysts say it's a warning sign for the Prime Minister. Opposition leader Peter Dutton has pushed ahead of Anthony Albanese as preferred Prime Minister, 39 to 34%. The coalition also leads Labor on a two-party preferred basis, 51 to 49%.
A man's died after a crash at Burton last night. His motorbike collided with a truck on Waterloo Corner Road around 10:45. The rider, a 52-year-old man from Paralawi, died at the scene. The truckie, a 53-year-old local man, wasn't injured. It's the fifth life lost on SA roads this year. While police are investigating the cause of a house fire at Parafield Gardens last night, it broke out on Kellaway Street just before 9. The home was completely destroyed, but there are no reports of injuries. The cause is undetermined, however, it's not believed to be suspicious. Prince Harry's had an historic victory, winning his legal battle against Rupert Murdoch's UK publications. A settlement statement offered a full apology to the Duke of Sussex for the serious intrusion by the Sun between 1996 and 2011. It also acknowledged the damage caused to his late mother, Princess Diana. Harry's barrister, David Sherborne, says News Group newspapers offered an apology for phone hacking, surveillance and misuse of private information.
It's perhaps no surprise that all of their senior executives and editors refused to turn up to court to give evidence. The failure of each of these key individuals to come and answer questions under oath spoke volumes in itself.
The wheels are in motion on Donald Trump's promise to crack down on immigration in America. More from US correspondent Lauren Tomasi.
As many as 1,500 troops will be sent to the US-Mexico border as part of Trump's promise to halt illegal immigration. The active duty force will join 2,500 US National Guard and Reserve forces already there. That military order coming days after the president declared a national emergency on the border. The crackdown coming as Trump faces criticism over the pardoning of more than 1,500 January 6 defendants, with reports the president and his staff are now considering inviting some of those granted clemency to meet with him at the White House.
A shortage of prescription medication is leaving some patients without life-saving treatment. A study by the Uni of SA shows nearly 90% of pharmacists are seeking alternative suppliers weekly. And large anti-Australia Day demonstrations in Melbourne this weekend are threatening to disrupt the Australian Tennis Open. City business owners have been told to brace for around 30,000 protesters on Australia Day who'll then march onto Melbourne Park. There are concerns the Australia Day protesters and pro-Palestine protesters will converge together. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Aussie Alex de Minaur is out of the Australian Open after going down in straight sets to Italian world number 1 Yannick Sinner. The match wrapped up in less than 2 hours.
Well, Sinner is simply too good and he sails into the semi-finals.
Audio there thanks to Channel 9. Still with tennis and an Australian Open semi-finalist, the man who Sinner will be playing has taken aim at on-court interviews and the media covering the first tennis major of the year. The spotlight was on Tony Jones at the start of the week following his criticism of Novak Djokovic. Now, American Ben Shelton has teed off at the on-court interviews.
I don't think that the guy who mocked Novak, I don't think that was just a single event. I've noticed it with different people, not just myself. I noticed it with Lerner Tien in one of his matches. I think when he beat Medvedev, his post-match interview, I thought it was kind of embarrassing and disrespectful, that interview.
Adelaide United has just fallen short of claiming all 3 points in its top-of-the-table clash against Auckland FC. The Reds look set for the win, but the visitors equalised in the 99th minute. Coach Carl Viard admitting they have room for improvement.
Unfortunately, we didn't play. We played more their brand of football than our brand of football. Made it too much of a contest all night.
West Aussie Sam Welsford will be hoping he can continue his stunning start to the Tour Down Under when Stage 3 begins from Norwood this morning. The 29-year-old took out his second stage win in as many days, despite falling from his bike yesterday, and he says he was determined to get the result.
I said to the boys, I said, get me on, I'm going to bloody win this thing. So at that moment on the climb, I wasn't really thinking like that because my legs are screaming, but really happy for the team.
Amazing effort. That audio thanks to Seven. And that is the FIVEAA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Selling your commercial property for top dollar is made easier with the team at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Yeah, morning. Got some residual delays thanks to a crash earlier in North Adelaide. That's on O'Connell Street near 10th Street. More to it and under road closures in place today, including around parts of Norwood till 2:30ish and parts of Euralia till 7 tonight. Urgent sewer works in Northfield, Grand Junction Road near Cox Terrace, and roads closed thanks to a burst water main in St Mary's, A-Lifts Road between South Road and the Crescent. Honda's huge finance offer is here. Get 3.88% interest rate and 5.22% comparison rate on any new Honda. Hurry, ends 28th of Feb, T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
Partly cloudy and 26 today, mostly sunny tomorrow, 28. More of the same on Saturday, 29 and 35 for Sunday. Right now, 17. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
Discover the world like never before with Azamara Cruises and Phil Hoffman Travel. Explore the timeless charm of Europe or the wonders of Asia and Australia with unique itineraries, longer stays and more overnights, giving you more time to connect with each destination. Receive up to $1,000 onboard credit per suite on select itineraries in 2025 with 9-night cruises starting from $4,509 per person. Offer ends 31st of March. Visit pht.com.au.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blowing up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. On time, on budget, on the job.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
If you love your home but you've never been in love with your kitchen, well, the answer is not far away.
No, it's just 15 minutes up the freeway because that's where you'll find Balhanna Kitchens by Design. Now, it boasts the largest kitchen design showroom anywhere in the Adelaide Hills. Plus, it's a family business with 35 years of experience, so they care about taking care of you.
And their expertise goes further than kitchens. They can create laundries, linen cupboards, robes and vanities. Plus, all cabinet installations are backed by a 10-year warranty.
Balhanna Kitchens by Design. It's not too far to go to make your dream kitchen a reality. See more at balhannakitchens.com.au.
Cup of tea, dear? The kettle's on. Would you like a cup of tea, love?
Cup of tea, dear.
What?
If you're concerned about hearing loss for a loved one, book an appointment with Can Do Hearing. CanDoHearing.com.au. That sounds better.
$20,000. Now's your last chance to win it. Edwardstown Mazda's incredible 2024 plate clearance sale is in its final stages with huge factory bonuses and massive discounts. Plus at Edwardstown Mazda and only Edwardstown Mazda, every purchase sends you straight into the draw to win $20,000. Yep, that's $20,000. Why would you go anywhere else?
It's gotta be
Edwardstown Mazda, the #1 destination for Mazda in SA. T's and C's apply. T24/1786.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
20 minutes to wait. Want to do a bit of an experiment quickly on the police home care text line. Who listening right now in the northern suburbs is having issues with their internet? We've received multiple calls in just the last little while from people out north, Gawler being one of the places. Jono on the text line said just the northern suburbs generally, who have no internet. They say it's been that way for some 24 hours. There's some rumours about a fibre cable being cut. We haven't been able to substantiate any of that. Just want to get a sense, who's listening right now out north that has no internet and it's been that way for a little while. If there's a few, we'll make some calls and get to the bottom of it for you.
Some people go, first world problems, but I tell you what, if you're running a business.
Well, people might do their entire banking and, their contact with family.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right. It's the moment you've all been waiting for.
9 out of 10, every time.
Matthew Abraham on 5AA Breakfast.
For the first time in 2025 for the whole summer of Spin to Dissect. Matt Abraham, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David.
Great to see you again, Matt. Happy New Year.
Good to be in here. I've got my radio haircut for 2025.
Good.
I've got
like
the new 5AA top.
With the zappy new logo.
Merch, as they call it now.
That's right.
Don't you love that?
Merch. Have you been out in the boat much? Looks like there's been a lot of good days for getting out in the boat.
I got out in the boat off WIRRINA.
Oh, nice.
Yes. WIRRINA holiday. Can't not sing that, can you?
Holiday mood, WIRRINA.
Possibly,
are you old enough to remember
that?
No,
that one's part of
Possibly the worst place for a holiday village, like it's freezing half the year. The wind blows, you can't stand up straight, but it does have a great marina there.
Yeah, the marina's good. I went to a mate's 40th there. We went way out past the tip of KI catching tuna, but I got seasick.
Oh, no good.
Seasick. Have you ever got seasick?
Only when the wind's not, if it's a dead calm day and it's hot and the boat's just slopping around, that's when I get a little bit queasy. But apart from that, no.
I'd never had it ever. And
no, it's not
geez, you don't want it.
No, it's not. I went fishing once. In Sydney, I was in the Journalist Club fishing club. We used to go out off the heads where the swell was about 5 metres, and you'd be fishing one day. The boat would roll down, your face would be about an inch in the water, and then it'd roll back and you'd be looking at the sky. And one of the guys I was out fishing with, who was a journo with the West Australian, he got seasick. So, the guys on each side, one guy, people were pulling in these big fish. So, a guy next to me was pulling in fish and he'd throw up and he'd keep pulling in fish and eating, eating a chicken drumstick while he's doing it. I'm thinking, how can you do that? Anyway, my mate got so sick he fell asleep on the deck with his face to the sun. And when he got off the boat, he was red on one side, totally red. But I've never seen someone so happy to get back on the dry land.
Yeah.
It's an instant.
You don't want to lie down.
No.
So it's going to be a target-rich environment spin-wise, isn't it, this coming 12 months, Matt? Because we've got the federal election, and then we're really into the tail end of term one of the Malinowskis government, and it's going to get pretty interesting there.
I heard you guys slapping the Premier around on his promise.
Some of those ramping answers were a bit dubious.
Oh, they get that. he really does go down the rabbit hole now with his answers. No, you know, if you listen carefully to what I said, what I was talking about was that we would reduce, you know, ambulance waiting times, and we've done that. And you know, there's still work to do on that other thing, you know, like ramping.
The RA.
It's the one thing he really does sound dodgy on, you know, because on everything else, he's totally comfortable. You can see him. He's just like quite relaxed. But that's the one thing that he's sort of uncomfortable about. You can see it. He squirms on it.
Yeah, it's true.
And yeah, he's not. Don't
you reckon?
He's not Mr. Smooth.
It almost felt like he knew first interview of the year they're going to ask me about bloody ramping.
Yeah. You know what? I think one of his great qualities actually turns into one of his a weakness on an issue like this, because he always seems so genuine and believable, and he believes what he's saying. Except for ramping,
yeah,
which I reckon after one beer at a barbecue, he'd tell you it's not happening. And I think he sounds like that every time he comes on to talk about it. I don't think he believes it's going to get fixed.
The weirdest part was when he was talking about the figures in the second half of last year. They were actually pretty good compared to the year before. No, you're not campaigning against yourself. You're campaigning against Stephen Marshall's record. You know, the promise wasn't, I'll get... The 2022 promise wasn't, I'll get ramping down by 2026 to the same level it was in 2024.
No, he doesn't, yeah. I think what Will says is right. I mean, we don't want to sort of guess what the Premier thinks privately, but you can imagine before he goes in, he's probably saying, oh, they're going to ask me about ramping. Look, doesn't everyone accept that I shouldn't have said it? Or, you know, look, I just said it, but you have to say some things to get elected. You know, a bit different to Donald Trump, you know, on day one. He's got, I didn't know you could have so many folders to sign. You know, and he's got, and
so many Sharpies.
He's got a whole row of texters or Sharpies or whatever. As though he's going to run out of ink on one of them, you know.
The people who run the... Office Works in Washington, D.C., their faces must light up when he comes in.
I mean, you know, remember that King Charles, obviously, you know, you know, bloody fountain pen always leaks, you know.
Can somebody get me a good pen?
You know, can you imagine if one of those Sharpies leaked, you know, Secret Service would drag the stationery store off and ship them off to Mexico or somewhere like that, you know, it wouldn't. But it is incredible. I do think, you know, this will be a really interesting year because, as you said, the dynamic is this is the pre-election year for the Malinauskas government, but it's also an election year for the Albanese government. And the presidency 2.0, I don't think we can underestimate how that's going to change the dynamic. The Australian politics will not be insulated from what is happening in the US. You know, when you've got a president who says, well, the official position of the American government now is that there'll be two genders, a man and a woman, male and female. And that's it. You know, we're going to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. He's going to, you know, impose tariffs on where there are major trading deficits, or surpluses, I should say, countries that sort of sell a lot more than they get from the US. We're not in that position, so we'll probably be a little bit insulated from that. But in terms of the social side of it, putting aside the economy, what happens with that, I think it's going to be profound in Australia. And you know, you were talking this morning about these big hotel groups who are embarrassed about Australia. Let's face it, that's what it is. They can't. They've had to recant on their recant and come back to the fact that they're going to call it a long weekend. It's a bit like, you know, and this is taken off in the Western world, particularly through America, and started in Australia. You don't say Merry Christmas, you say, you know, Happy Holidays, because we're embarrassed to celebrate a Christian celebration, which is Christmas.
Well, only one reason you're having Christmas. There's a clue in the first part of the word.
Yeah. What they say. Jesus is the reason for the season, you know, like, yeah. I mean, but somehow you have to get around that because you might offend people who don't sort of either aren't Christian, or even if they're Christian, they're embarrassed by it. I don't know, but it's weird. It's like this second guessing that goes on. There's a front page story in this excellent newspaper, The Australian, that you write for, obviously, David. This is a goal.
The score yet this year.
Well, about time you got into it, mate. We've been missing it.
Oh, yeah.
The Gold Coast Council the handing out of a double-sided Australian Aboriginal flag at citizenship ceremonies on the Gold Coast has been axed by the Gold Coast City Council after complaints by residents and its own elected officials. So they've run up all these flags with the Australian flag on one side, and on the flip side is the Aboriginal flag. And so some committees obviously sat down and thought, well, we've got citizenship ceremonies, we want to keep everyone happy, how are we going to do that? And can you imagine this committee? I know. Why don't we have a flag that's got the Australian flag on one side and the Aboriginal flag on the other side? And this committee sits around and goes, that's a bloody good idea, we'll run these off, So they run off, probably, 10,000 of these flags. Then suddenly residents say, well, that's ridiculous. And so the committee goes, oh, well, that was a bad idea, we'll junk all those flags. This goes on all the time. And we're seeing it, we saw it, as you mentioned, with Woolworths, all this sort of second-guessing going on. Well, I think the change of dynamic in the US under Trump, there'll be big fights over there. He's not just going to be able to roll his way through it. It will embolden Peter Dutton. It does pay into the Dutton playbook.
Well, don't you think it already has, in a way?
Yeah.
Because if you look at Trump's been well and truly on the way back since, when Biden announced he wasn't running, there was that brief fillip for the Dems, but he totally out-campaigned Harris, and, the result could not have been more comprehensive. Do you see that already with things like Dutton's declaration that if he becomes PM, he'll only ever stand in front of one flag? There's a recognition now that you can make genuine political capital by being proudly politically incorrect. Because and you made the great point the other day, Will, about that polling showing that even in the US among Democrat voters, something like 70% of them thought that some of the rattier excesses of the sort of transgender stuff, they just shook their heads and said, no, I don't agree with that. Don't agree with that.
It was a New York Times series of polls that came out that asked people by voting how you vote in the last election, should transgender people be able to play women's sport? The vast majority of Democrats said no. They were asked about the deportation of illegals. The majority of Democrats thought it was a good idea to have a stronger border policy. Like almost everything that was a part of the MAGA America agenda was secretly, most kind of normal Democrats went, I actually think that's not a bad idea. It was almost like the packaging was the thing they objected to, not the actual substance of the...
You mentioned before too, Mally over a beer might say one thing. I reckon there's a sort of, what would you say over a beer test? Like there's a whole bunch of stuff you'd say over a beer that you wouldn't say on a live radio show, you wouldn't probably say it in the workplace, but if you get people, and I'm not saying you turn into total rednecks, but you're just a bit more confident about going, geez, I'm sick of being bloody lectured by Woolworths about what I should and shouldn't think. And that's where Dutton can scoop it up.
If you, I agree, and the fishing rule, what's said on the boat stays on the boat, is a good rule, and it is. I remember once. This is when the Pauline Hanson phenomenon first surfaced in Australia, and people thought, well, when I say people, we now call them elites, I suppose. People like me, maybe. Who have access to mass media and broadcasters and write newspapers and all that sort of gear. So where's this come from? Where's the popular appeal of Pauline Hanson? How'd that happen? And I remember we were interviewing Philip Adams once on the ABC, and he was saying, I travelled all around Australia for some sort of gig he was on. I travelled all around, and I spoke to hundreds of people. And I didn't pick this up at all. And I'm thinking, no, Philip, I didn't say this, but that's because you were talking to people like you.
Suburbs like Brunswick.
Yeah, exactly. You weren't.
Or at Riders Week.
You weren't listening or talking to people. A great thing to do is if you're at a checkout or you're at Woolies or something, and talk to the staff and have a bit of a yarn to them. And I was having one such conversation about a week ago. And the person I was talking to said, what really gets me is all this PC stuff. And I thought, I wasn't prompting him. I was talking about the weather. And he introduced this as, this is, it's driving me nuts. It's just sort of gone too far. And I'm thinking, wow, here's a person turning up to work, working shift work at a major supermarket, not earning a lot of money.
Well, I had the grandpa looking after his kids in school holidays just before the yes vote. when the announcement came out over the PA at Cumberland Park, Big W, about how we should or shouldn't vote in the referendum, and he just looked at me. We didn't know each other. He just looked at me and he goes, "For God's sake." And I thought, here comes the no vote.
Exactly.
Which goes to what was the most accurate poll in the US election. Actually, we'll talk about that in just a moment and dissect some spin. Let's check traffic first, though, and come back with Matt Abraham shortly.
Yeah, well, residual delays from a crash earlier in North Adelaide. That was on O'Connell Street near 10th Street there. 2 Down Under starts in Nord today, so expect road closures around the parade till about 2:30, and it finishes in Uradler, so detour is in place there till about 7 tonight. Urgent sewer works in Northfield, Grand Junction Road near Cox Terrace, and roads closed in St Mary's thanks to a burst water main, Ailifs Road between South Road and the Crescent. At IGA, great value is easy to find, like Primo Shortcut Rhineless Bacon, 750 grams, $8.40 each. Ends Tuesday at participating stores. Excludes local grocer and Foodland. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
NRG Solar knows that solar isn't just about panels. It's about future-proofing. Start your journey to self-sufficiency today. Be the visionary. Take charge. NRG Solar's new warehouse is fully stocked with a stunning range of wholesale solar and battery equipment. See it for yourself. Discover the power of solar at NRG Solar. Call 1300 858 160 or visit nrgsolar.com.au and make tomorrow brighter. That's nrgsolar.com.au.
I'm high! The Excelsior Hotel has always felt like home. And for seniors, it's always been great value with 20% discount on selected bistro meals. Yep, 20% off. Feeding the whole family? Bring them all Saturday or Sunday for live acoustic music from 5 p.m. And kids eat free. Some conditions apply. The Excelsior Hotel feels like home, but better. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
It all started in the back shed. Maybe it started early. Or late. Either way, the Olympic Industry sale means there's no need to wait. With big savings on our entire range of SA-engineered sheds, garages, carports and verandas, you can afford to start something big, tough, or tasty in your own backyard. Start something with the Olympic Industry sale. On now.
A new garage door to your home can improve the street appeal and value of your most prized possession. Call Gliderol now and order a new door and operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets. Plus, we'll take down and remove your existing door at no charge. Call Gliderol now for a free measure and quote on 1300 799 144. Some T's and C's apply. Retail customers only. Call Gliderol today or visit gliderol.com.au.
Get saving now with City Discount Tyres. We're offering great deals on the world's top brands in tyres, wheels, suspension and parts. Suitable for 4-wheel drives, SUVs and passenger cars, including Falcon, Michelin, Pirelli, Kumho, Hankook and many more. Finance options available. Search citydiscounttyres.com.au and locate your nearest dealer today. City Discount Tyres. We're driven by value.
At SMT Plumbing, Drainage and Excavations, we always strive to be the best. Whether it's plumbing, laying drains or excavating a small or large area. If you want pipes in the wall or in the ground, get SMT around. And we always look after our employees. So if you have the qualifications and skills, we'd like you to join the team. With a 4-day working week, we're family friendly. Plus we offer bonuses and more. For more, visit smtdrainage.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
What gets said on the boat stays on the boat. That's just some of the wisdom we've already learnt from Matt Abraham as he returned to the program this morning. Reminds me of...
Say the same thing about the ad break.
I read a good piece in the, talking about people concealing voting intentions. I wrote a good piece about the psychology of the self-serve at a fast food restaurant. And we always lambast it as being about, reducing labour and getting rid of jobs. When in fact, people in the company say, you know what the benefit of it is? The person who says, I want 2 sundaes, that won't order that to a human being. Or actually want 3 large fries. But I would never say that to another human being.
Yeah, okay.
That's the equivalent of during the US election, that question that was the only way that accurately determined how people were going to vote. How do you think your neighbour's going to vote? It was the only one that correctly predicted the vast majority of counties in the United States.
Oh, right.
It goes to that
That's
point.
a good poll question.
Yeah. What do you think your neighbours are going to do?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That one worked, curiously. Now, what doesn't work in the world of spin, Matt Abraham, or does, as it may well be?
Well, do we have our little spin thing?
Oh, yeah.
You
Of course we do. Matter of practice.
Before I get to the main spin, I do. I thought it was a very low-key reshuffle by Vincent Tarzia,
Yes.
just quickly, and I forget the names of whoever's been promoted, but it did have a slight Dad's Army feel about it. His front bench. Don't tell them your name, Pike. You know, one of the great lines. But anyway, we'll finish with Premier Peter Malinauskas, who is very uncomfortable talking about ramping, but was very comfortable talking about Tour Down Under until we had that very unfortunate cycle crash on a bend. And we hope the New South Wales woman who was taken to hospital and didn't have to ramp, we hope, but would have got there faster in a Malinauskas ambulance. But despite that terrible crash, the Premier seemed pretty sanguine about it all.
That it's a terrible freak accident. These types of things can happen. I mean, you could be at a cricket game and a ball could be hit for six, you get hit in the head if you're not looking. I mean, that's a risk. We see risk in society and we've got to account for it where we can, but not try and eliminate it altogether at the expense of what can be a really healthy way for families to enjoy themselves.
Wow, haven't we come a long way from the Woodville pizza box? Don't touch the footy, you'll get COVID. I mean, you could be walking, look, I could go out there and a meteorite could fall and just totally obliterate the city. It's just a risk. Don't worry about it.
Heartening, though, isn't it?
Yes. No. I don't know. I don't know if the woman who was carted off to ambulance after being smashed by about five cyclists at high speed has quite the same relaxed view of the world.
We don't know what the design of the track would be if Nicola Spurrier had been consulted.
Everyone would have been in those sumo wrestler suits, and
they'll also be 1.5 metres apart.
And you have tractor tyres.
Make the peloton bigger.
I'm giving the Premier a big, healthy start to the new year with a 9 out of 10.
Good or bad? Who knows? It's 9 out of 10. Matt Abraham, great to have you back on deck.
Pleasure.
The very latest news and information. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Partly cloudy and 26. With the 8 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Make RAA approved windscreen repairer Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. Visit completewindscreens.com.au.
A motorcyclist has died after colliding with a truck at Burton last night. The 52-year-old man from Paralawi died at the scene on Waterloo Corner Road. The truckie wasn't injured. Major crash officers are investigating the circumstances. It's the 5th life lost on SA roads this year. A house was destroyed by fire at Parafield Gardens last night. Courtney Henderson from the MFS says the home on Kellaway Street was engulfed in flames around 9 p.m.
Fire investigators have attended the scene and have advised that the cause is undetermined, with structural damage estimated at approximately $450,000.
While a hay shed fire at Colbatch in the Coorong has left a damage bill of around $650,000, the cause is unclear. The federal government's promising the average Australian will take home almost $1,900 come tax time thanks to tax cuts and growth. But the latest Resolve survey indicates half of voters are worried inflation will rise and real wages will fall this year. The poll also shows the coalition is more trusted on cost of living issues, and Peter Dutton has passed Anthony Albanese as preferred Prime Minister, ahead 39 to 34%. Prince Harry's claimed a monumental victory in a UK court. Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers have agreed to pay damages over claims they used unlawful techniques to look into his private life. The Sun has issued an unprecedented apology for the serious intrusions on the Duke of Sussex and his late mother, Princess Diana. Speaking outside court, his lawyer David Sherborne says it's a win for the family, who've been relentlessly targeted by the press.
In a monumental victory today,
News UK have admitted that The Sun, the flagship title for Rupert Murdoch's UK media empire, has indeed engaged in illegal practices.
Around 20 million Australian dollars in damages will be awarded to the Prince. A toddler and a man have been stabbed to death in Germany. 2 others were severely injured in the brutal attack in Bavaria. German police have arrested a 28-year-old Afghan citizen who they believe was behind the attacks. Passengers are failing to reach their destinations on time on board 2 of the country's top airlines. Alex Nimmo has details.
Domestic services flown by the country's 2 biggest airlines, Qantas and Virgin Australia, are still more delayed than they were before the pandemic. Virgin had the worst record over the past 12 months, with only 72% of flights making their destination on time, compared with 75% of flights flown by Qantas. Both airlines coming in well below the Bureau of Infrastructure and Transport Research Economics long-term average of 80%. Qantas and Virgin Australia are citing a lack of new aircraft as hampering their attempts to meet soaring travel demands.
Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Aussie Alex de Minaur has crashed out of the Australian Open with a crushing defeat in the quarterfinals. Craig Gabriel reports.
You had to feel for Alex de Minaur. He tried whatever he could against Yannick Sinner, but it just wasn't happening. The world number 1 was too good. It wasn't as if de Minaur was being erratic, but he was just being outplayed by someone who had more power and greater reach. De Minaur tried to rally with him, but usually came off second best. He tried to mix it up, but it all got mixed up. Sinner got the advantage early, and that was it, recording his 10th win from 10 matches against de Minaur 6-3, 6-2, 6-1. Sinner will play Ben Shelton in the semis.
Meantime, wins on the women's side for Madison Keys and Iga Swiatek. Well, Adelaide United has been held to a 2-2 draw at home against Auckland FC after a dramatic 99th minute equaliser from the Black Knights. Meantime, in European Champions League action, it's approaching full time with Arsenal still 1-0 up against Dinamo Zagreb, while Manchester City leads Paris Saint-Germain 2-1. Port Adelaide ruckman Jordan Sweet says he's feeling a lot more comfortable heading into his second season at Alberton. The 26-year-old cemented himself as the number 1 ruckman at the club last year, and he's told Rowie and Timmy G he's feeling fantastic.
I feel a lot more comfortable out on the track and playing, that's for sure. I mean, I don't have to think about what's needed in the game plan and stuff like that. It just comes naturally now, which is great.
Good to hear. Meantime, Carlton President Luke Sayers has stepped down effective immediately after a lewd image was posted from his X account last month. Well, the Sydney Thunder are just 1 win away from the BBL Grand Final after a 21-run win against the Melbourne Stars. West Aussie Sam Welsford took out Stage 2 of the Tour Down Under despite falling from his bike early in the stage yesterday. And Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa and Will Zalatoris have all withdrawn from the PGA Tour event at Torrey Pines. That teed off this morning. Ludwig Oberg is the early man to catch. He's currently 7 under, while Aussie Aaron Baddeley is 4 shots back. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Selling your commercial property for top dollar is made easier with the team at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Hey, good morning. Accident breakdown free at the moment, which is nice. Keep in mind, though, more 2 and under road closures in place today, including around parts of Norwood till about 2:30 and parts of Euralia till about 7 tonight. There's a burst water main causing some road closures in St Mary's, Aylifts Road between South Road and the Crescent, and got urgent sewer works in Northfield causing issues, Grand Junction Road near Cox Terrace. Get up to $400 off when you pre-order the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra on a payment plan at Telstra. Offer ends March 10. Eligibility criteria apply based on 1TB variant. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
Partly cloudy and 26 today, mostly sunny tomorrow, 28. More of the same on Saturday, 29 and 35 for Sunday. Right now, 18. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
Unique, loyal, fun-loving. That's what we look for in our pals. When you're next spending time with your best friends, don't forget some of the best pals you can have. Parafield Airport Liquor Store has your everyday favourites right through to those hard-to-find products. That's what great pals do. Sam and Jamie from Parafield Airport Liquor Store know every drop on the shelf, so you can always rely on their advice. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Aussie kids.
Our active kids. Our adventurous kids. Our creative kids. Our curious kids. Our sporty kids. Where did you get all this energy from, kids? Are you a Weet-Bix kid?
2025 airfares are now on sale with Philhoffen Travel and Singapore Airlines, the world's most awarded airline. Enjoy seamless connections through Singapore with 10 flights per week from Adelaide. Fly to Europe return in economy class from $1,849 per person or business class from $7,969 per person. Offer ends 5th of February. Availability is limited. Select travel dates and conditions apply. Visit pht.com.au.
Big news! The famous Grundy Shoe Store at Glenelg is renovating, and with less room at the Temp Store, just a few more steps down Jetty Road, Grundy Shoes Glenelg is having a huge clearance sale. Head to 102 Jetty Road Glenelg from today and enjoy up to 60% off your favourite brands like Cabello, Ziera, Ara, Birkenstock, Echo, Frankie 4 and many more. Save up to 60% at the huge Grundy Shoes Glenelg clearance sale. Visit Grundy Shoes Glenelg and step into the new year in style and comfort. Grundy Shoes Glenelg, 102 Jetty Road.
Did you know that 1 in 10 Australians over 65 are at risk of malnutrition? That's why Eat Well Health provides you with access to a free online assessment, plus information on how Optimal Essentials Complete Nutrition and Protein Plus for seniors can help. Don't pay out of your own pocket. Purchase Complete Nutrition or Protein Plus for seniors at eatwellhealth.com.au and have it billed directly to your home care provider. Optimal Essentials products are also found at national pharmacies. Manage your nutrition better. Visit eatwellhealth.com.au today.
Setting the agenda for South Australia. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
10 minutes after 8, we've got a Care Alert Smart Dialer to give away. Our first sound off for the Smart Dialer coming up this half hour.
And we keep wanting to bring more people in. Why?
Just getting a little bit frustrated ringing some of our larger organisations.
They're on a good wicket and I'm getting no justice for my dollars.
So if you'd like to sound off for this magnificent Care Alert Smart Dialer, cutting edge product made here in South Australia by the wonderful the Steele family, Mike and Darren Steele. We love them. They do a great job. It's a great product.
Darren's actually written a potential new theme song for the Sound Off segment. We might tease that out in the coming weeks. It. Well, with a bit of help from AI. I think it's to the tune of The Sounds of Silence.
What? Simon and Garfunkel? Okay, I look forward to hearing that.
He sent it through to me last night. It's hilarious.
I look forward to
hearing
hearing
that. Save that for next week.
We were asking listeners about 30 minutes ago about an internet outage in the northern suburbs. We started getting a stack of texts, and it only increased after we mentioned it on air. Some calls as well. Margaret in Parafield Gardens, you've got no internet.
No, so ours started about Tuesday night, and then when my husband went to work and logged in at work, because that's not affected where he is, he had an email saying from our provider that there was some major cable that was cut. So someone obviously didn't dial before they dug. And I know, right? And they said it would be on yesterday afternoon, but it's still not on now.
Can I ask you, is the provider TPG, Margaret?
Well, I don't know what it is. It's changed its name a lot. It used to be Adam, and then it went to IINet. I don't know what it is now. They give us great service, so I'm, to be fair, it's a first world problem for us, but the thing is there's obviously people in this area that have got businesses, and it wouldn't be fun for them.
Not at all, Margaret. The only reason I asked that is because we've been sent through from some people with TPG a rolling series of updates, and what they say sounds similar to what you've been told. I'll read some of that out in a moment. Paddo is in the Barossa Valley. The internet's
good morning, gentlemen.
Paddo, is it?
Happy New Year to you and all that sort of stuff. You don't realise how much technology is crept into your life until you haven't got it anymore.
Yeah.
We've got smart TVs in the house that don't work. We've got other stuff that's not working now, but I went down to the local pub for the happy hour yesterday and they seem to be doing all right, but other businesses probably are suffering. I know it's just a pain here because the kids are on school holidays. I'm sort of retired, so we're sitting around sort of twiddling our thumbs, which is good for housework, but not much for anything else.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
It helps your productivity in one area. So Barossa Valley, we're getting some reports from Williston, getting reports from Parafield Gardens, of course, with a caller just a moment ago. Gawler seems to be a hotspot for this. Elizabeth too. I'm guessing we've got a few listeners in Elizabeth with their internet not working, and the timeline adds up. So a few people have sent us this series of events from TPG, which is actually pretty comprehensive. It's pretty good what they provide you. That it seems to fit the scenario. I'm not sure if this is the one that's affecting everyone, but it does seem to fit. They say it's 7:50 a.m. yesterday. A fault location was identified in Salisbury, SA. The fibre operations team are on their way to the fault location. What they found was the pipe had been, the fibre cable had been cut. They had to order a replacement, effectively. So they originally thought they'd get it back on by last night, but we live in this wonderfully bureaucratic world, and I'll just read you part of the challenge that an internet provider has. They say, as per the last update from the local railway authority, due to safe working procedures and protocols to be followed, we're advised that access will only be provided after the further review from the railway area manager. It must be around a train track.
They run over the cable.
I just imagine access to where they need to fix it must be in the vicinity of a bit of track. The approval for the restricted railway corridor will be reviewed further tomorrow morning, and ETR will be advised once the clearance is provided to contractors. So that was just at 11:15 last night, and then at 8:15 Eastern time this morning, so 7:45 Adelaide time, they say they've got approval from the Railway Track Corporation. They're hauling the new cable at 8:30 this morning, and they believe that services will be restored from around midday, today. So hopefully only about three or so hours left for people in the north. But clearly it's a big outage that's affected a lot of people. And I think people will be interested to get to the bottom of what caused it, because there are rumours running rife. You can look at our text line at the moment. Some people saying it was an accident by a contractor, dial before you dig. Some saying it was a bunch of crooks that were stealing copper wire.
Copper cable, yeah.
And they've cut it. It's big enough that I think there needs to be a bit of an explanation on this, because it's affecting a lot of people and a lot of businesses north of Adelaide.
Breaking at 8, we want to climb in more detail into the story about the shortage of medicines. Apart from being one of the heroes of Port Adelaide's 2004 Premiership team, Daryl Wakeland is a hugely successful pharmacist in his own right. And we asked Wakes to come on to shed a bit more light about how this is playing out on the ground. Daryl, mate, good morning. Really good to be talking to you again, and Happy New Year. Now, we've had calls this morning from people, and the text line's been flooded. A lot of the focus is on diabetes drugs, but we've heard about shortages of menopause drugs. One woman, Lynn, said she couldn't get a nitrate patch and she ended up in hospital. What sort of shortages are you seeing across the board in your pharmacies at the moment, mate?
Yeah, cheers, Pembo. It's certainly Groundhog Day, it feels, and I'm in the store most days, and it really is the efficiency within the system is the most frustrating thing at the moment. But there's certainly a lot of shortages. It's probably the most I've seen it. Every time I come on to this show, I seem to say the same thing. But sadly, we're a small market here. We put a lot of pressure on prices as a government, where they do the right thing as far as negotiation. But at the end of the day, you need to keep the supply, you need to keep that buffer within the system. And basically the communication between, the supply chain and the government, they're just not working close enough, consistently enough for the whole system to be able to work. And the approach is too short term, and that's why we're getting these shortages that we are at the moment. And as you said, Pembo, it was diabetes meds, a lot of HRT, hormone replacement therapy, the glycerol trinitrate patches. We've had warfarin, one of our most common medications, have been out of stock for a majority of last year.
Warfarin, isn't it? That's the blood thinning drug that people take when they've got heart conditions. That's like going without that is a matter of life and death for some people, surely.
Correct, and it's not a drug that you can just transfer someone across to a different brand. So that's the difficulties. The inefficiencies within the system, and not everyone gets to see it, but I would have, in one of my pharmacies, I would have 15 conversations every day. Each conversation will go for maybe 1 to 2 minutes. It doesn't seem a lot, but you multiply that across the 5,000 pharmacies in Australia, you're communicating to them patients that you need to go back to see your doctor, you'll need to call your doctor, you'll need to make an appointment. So the waste and the inefficiencies and the loss of time and productivity is just massive. And there's some pretty simple solutions to it, Pembo, but it's up to, I suppose, the Department of Health and Albo and Mark Butler to implement that.
Well, I know, Wakes, that in the past you have spoken, I think, personally to Mark Butler in his capacity as Health Minister. This was about the changes that the government, the controversial changes the government made with the 60-day scripts. But, you know, if the Health Minister were listening to you today, and when you say that there is potentially quite a simple fix here, is the answer for the feds to just make the stockpiles bigger and to import more of these drugs up front so that we're not running so lean and mean?
Well, to a degree, Pembo, it's about creating the best way possible to create these efficiencies and to have a response which is very efficient and timely. But during COVID, obviously, people were hoarding medication. There was this huge demand and pepped up demand because people would, humans are pretty selfish and they want to look after themselves. So there was a working party put in place that was back in 2021, a medicine shortage working party, and I think that's what needs to come back. And that could be picked up very, very quickly. The Guild is certainly on board. Medicines Australia and as far as the wholesalers and all the generic brands and the big brand companies would be able to implement that very, very quickly. It comes down to the government showing leadership and driving that, and that would allow there to be a lot more efficient response, Pembo, within the supply chain.
Yeah.
I know there has been a lot of talk about some of the diabetes ones like weight loss, like Ozempic. Now that's one out of the box. We're not really talking about that. That's been a Hollywood, social media driven, pumped up demand. We're talking common everyday medications that have shortages, which should not be in short supply. They're everyday medications. We know what the demands are out there in the community. It's not like the demands have spiked. They have that consistent approach. Just for whatever reason, the government have created a buffer, and that's been a massive tick. But they're still not nimble enough, and the communications aren't nimble enough and efficient enough to be able to keep up with the changes that do occur from month to month and year to year.
Yeah, that's a great explanation, Wakes. We really appreciate you coming on, mate. We'll catch up soon. Thanks so much for joining us today for Breaking at 8.
If you'd like to win yourself a Care Alert Smart Dialer, get calling right now, 8223 0000. Sound off. You've got 30 seconds to get any issue you want off your chest. It could be of global importance. It could be of the most local importance. In fact, some of the best have only mattered to the person who came on to talk about them.
Sillier the better.
Sillier the better.
Maybe you're sick of the sight of middle-aged men stuffing themselves in lycra shorts at the moment.
Could well be. 8223 0000. Get calling now.
I saw a few over the road. My God.
It's quite a sight. Koshi is coming up on the other side of the break as well. We're going to check traffic first, though. And then, if you are a cycling enthusiast, Phil Liggett after 8:30.
Yeah, thanks, Will. Accident and breakdown free at the moment, which is good news. The TDU course starts in Norwood today, so expect some road closures around the parade till about 2:30 this afternoon, and it finishes in Euradlis. A detour is in place there till about 7 tonight. Look out for some urgent sewer works this morning too in Northfield, Grand Junction Road near Cox Terrace, and a burst water main causing some road closures in St Mary's, A-Lifts Road between South Road and the Crescent. Get your BMW summer ready at Glenelg BMW. Enjoy expert service with special offers on maintenance and repairs. Book your appointment today at Glenelg BMW. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA Sports Show. Rowie and Timmy G.
Valtteri Bottas is here, as well as our very own Olympic cycling star from Adelaide, Tiffany Cromwell. Welcome, you two legends.
Bloody oath, mate.
Stop it. So Tiff's taught you?
Yeah, I'm learning Australian.
Yeah.
He needs you to understand me.
The 5AA Sports Show.
If I talk full Australian, they don't understand me.
Don't they?
No.
Weekdays from 4 p.m. on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
At
Coles, find everything you need for back to school. Like half-price Sanitarium Up and Go Liquid Breakfast, 250ml 6-pack, now just $6. Back to school is sorted at Coles. Offer ends Tuesday.
I'll grab a few people I know. We'll mark out some places to go. There's no invitation, just a destination, and that's the best freedom I know. Jump in the Jayco. Jump in the Jayco. Yeah, that's the best freedom I know.
Now, you all know that I love my local Mitre 10, or as those in the know call it, the other hardware store. It's my one-stop shop for all my DIY jobs, be it something indoors that needs to be fixed or out in the garden. They've always got everything you need, and look, the staff are great. They'll happily give you advice on the best products to help you get all those jobs done.
So if you're planning some home improvements or have some fix-it jobs to do, or just want to spruce things up a bit around the home or in the garden, head into your local Mighty Helpful Mitre 10.
For great prices on the right products for the job, along with the best and most helpful advice, choose the other hardware store, Mighty Helpful Mitre 10.
Hey, if you're like me and love a good bargain, check out Star Discount Chemist. They're all about great value and helping your family stay healthy. Go in-store or online for click and collect and delivery. Star Discount Chemist. How can we help?
Visit OPSM, where Health Fund members get 25% off frame and lenses when purchased as a complete pair. Offer ends February 23. OPSM accepts all health funds with most claims processed on the spot. See website for exclusions and T's and C's. OPSM, all about your eyes.
Next time you pour Fluorio milk into your coffee or tea, over your cereal or in your smoothie, you're closer to being an SA dairy farmer than you think. 100% of Fluorio Co milk comes from our state's best dairy farmers and their families. So when you buy any Fluorio milk product, you become part of that big family too, doing your bit to support our farming families. Look for the local in your supermarket. Fluorio Milk Company. We're for SA dairy farmers.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
And they could never tear us apart.
David Koch on 5AA Breakfast.
Oh, it's not long until we're going to be hearing In Excess belted out by 40,000 Port fans every second week at the Adelaide Oval. Footy season is just around the corner. I know Koch is excited. The year is young too. Our first chat with him and so much to talk about. David Koch, Compare the Market Economic Director and Port Adelaide Football Club Supremo. Good morning to you and welcome to 5AA Breakfast for another year.
Oh, Happy New Year, you two. Did you have a good break?
Yeah, it was great, Koshy. I didn't barely left Aldinga. It's been absolutely terrific. Beautiful summer weather here. How's life over there in Sydney, mate? Good?
Well, a bit wild. We've been battered by storms and things like that, but yes, we've shipped most of the grandkids back interstate or overseas. So I think from early December through to last weekend, we had a minimum 5 people, maximum 15, every night staying and sleeping in the house.
Oh, my God.
So chaotic. I've gone back to work for a holiday.
back for some peace and quiet. How do you cope with the numbers? Right. Who's the resident chief cook and bottle washer in your joint?
Well, everyone can. We have a roster, but we do it all. But we had 2 kids, 2 of the grandkids on our sofa bed in our bedroom, and then we have a bunk room that takes 6 and all that sort of stuff. So it is wild, and as you can imagine, it's not a quiet family we have. There are so many opinions. It's very interesting.
Yeah, we're thankful for it because we love your opinions, Koshy. Year ahead, we've got a federal election coming up.
Yep.
How big a say is the RBA going to have, do you think, in who ultimately forms government? And do you think...
Massive.
I mean, everything... there's rain dances. I don't know if there's rate cut dances, but if there are, the entire Labor Party federally are probably doing them at the moment.
Oh,
will they be? Those prayers be answered, do you think?
Depends on the 29th of January, next week, is the December quarter inflation figure comes out. If the what the Reserve Bank called the trim mean inflation, not the headline rate, but the mean inflation rate comes in between 2 and 3%. Yes, I think there will be an interest rate cut. Financial markets are priced in currently about a 60% chance of that happening, depending on what the December quarter rate cut does. The next board meeting of the RBA is in February, so they'll be looking at this December quarter inflation really carefully. That's a cornerstone of their decision. The one after that isn't until May 20. So that's after the deadline of May 17. So you can imagine Jim Chalmers and Anthony Albanese sort of on high alert with tension between now and next week's figures, because around the world, incumbent governments are being turfed out because of cost of living crisis. So it's a global trend that they've got to fight against.
Now, Koshi, more importantly, I don't know if you were on the line, you probably weren't, but we just had Premiership legend Daryl Wakeland on the show, talking to him about some pharmaceutical issues, wearing his hat as a chemist.
Pharmacy Guild.
Pharmacy Guild, that's right. Can Port add another trophy to their cabinet this year?
Oh, well, every club at this stage lives in hope. We're sort of focused on, and like every club, we're incredibly confident in February, in January, because no games have been played, no one's lost a game, no one's won a game. So the same report comes out of every club that squads are trading their house down, they're chalking up X% of personal bests and all that sort of stuff. So, and then there's the draw, which everyone has a view on, but has a totally different view at the end of the season. So it's just way too early. Talk to me in May. The first thing, we go into every season saying, okay, the first step is to make finals, and that's what we're focused on. And then you make finals, give yourself the best chance to succeed at the pointy end of the season. But at the pointy end, it's form, it's momentum, it's injuries, it's a fair bit of luck. It's nerve-wracking. That's what makes the game great.
Absolutely. Well, mate, we love having you back in 2025. We always enjoy our catch-ups. All the best for the year ahead, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Good on you, Dave.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Partly cloudy and 26 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Chipped windscreen? RAA approved repairer Complete Windscreens repairs it from just $99. Find the big red koala.
Australians could pocket an extra $1,800 come tax time. The federal government claims wage growth and tax cuts will leave the average Aussie better off, alleviating some pressures. But the latest Resolve survey shows half of voters fear wages will shrink and inflation will rise again this year. Treasurer Jim Chalmers claims that's not the case.
The worst of the inflation challenge is behind us. Real wages are growing again, and that's a good thing, and unemployment is low. And so there are very good reasons to be confident, cautious, not complacent, but confident about the year ahead.
Well, Peter Dutton has surpassed Anthony Albanese as preferred Prime Minister, ahead 39 to 34%. There's been a fatal crash at Burton. Senior Constable Jean Cullinan says a motorbike and a truck collided on Waterloo Corner Road.
The rider of the bike, a 52-year-old man from Paralarry, he sadly died at the scene. And the driver of the truck, a 53-year-old local man, he wasn't injured. The major crash did attend at the scene to examine the circumstances. And that man is the fifth life lost on the S8 roads this year.
A house was destroyed by fire at Parafield Gardens last night. The blaze broke out on Kellaway Street just before 9. The cause is undetermined, with damage estimated at $450,000. And the cause of a hayshed fire at Coalbatch in the Coorong's under investigation. It destroyed the shed and everything inside, leaving a damage bill of around $650,000. Prince Harry has accepted a $20 million payout in his battle with UK newspapers. Rupert Murdoch's News Group newspapers have agreed to pay damages over claims they used unlawful techniques to look into his private life. The case related to unlawful activity between 1996 and 2011, including the use of private investigators. Former Labor MP Tom Watson has praised Harry after he was the subject of unwarranted intrusion himself.
I once said that the big beasts of the tabloid jungle have no predators. I was wrong. They have Prince Harry. His bravery and astonishing courage have brought accountability to a part of the media world that thought it was untouchable.
Australia's grappling with a shortage of essential medication for everything from the blood thinner warfarin to Ozempic and HRT medications. A Uni of South Australia study has found nearly 90% of pharmacists are finding alternative suppliers weekly. Local pharmacist Daryl Wakeland has told David and Will it's the worst he's seen.
You need to keep the supply, you need to keep that buffer within the system, and basically the communication between the supply chain and the government, they're just not working close enough, consistently enough, and the approach is too short term, and that's why we're getting these shortages.
Thousands of anti-Australia Day protesters are expected to unite with pro-Palestinian groups on Sunday for a mass protest which could disrupt Melbourne's CBD and the Australian Tennis Open. Business owners have been told to boost security while Tennis Australia's been working closely with police. Opposition leader Brad Batten has slammed the protests, which he describes as hateful and divisive.
This is a prime example where Victoria and Melbourne should be coming in as one and celebrating, getting people in the street, carrying your Australian flag, showing people why our amazing community is so awesome for the Australian Open, that we've got businesses open and thriving, not people walking down the street protesting against what our great nation is.
While hospitality giant Australian Venue Co has reaffirmed it will not acknowledge Australia Day in its pubs, instead urging Aussies to enjoy a long weekend. The hospo giant, with more than 200 pubs across the country, is refusing to reveal whether it will apply public holiday surcharges this weekend. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Call Gliderol now. Order a new door with operator before the end of February and receive 2 extra handsets.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Alex de Minaur says he felt like he'd been slapped across the face after Yannick Sinner ousted him from the Australian Open. Sinner won their quarter-final clash in under 2 hours, 6-3, 6-2, 6-1. Meantime, the mixed doubles final at the Oz Open will be an all-Aussie affair for the first time since 1967. Olivia Gadecki and John Pearce will take on John Patrick Smith and Kim Birrell. Let's go to soccer, and Adelaide United coach Carl Viet admits last night's 2-2 draw with Auckland left a bitter taste in his team's mouth. The Reds took the lead in the 95th minute, only for the visitors to hit back in the 99th minute.
Very disappointed. It'd be like a loss. So look, we've got a little bit of a break now, so we can make sure we recover well and get the full squad ready for our next game.
And the Reds' next match will be on Saturday, February 1st, away against Sydney FC. Meantime, in overseas action, Manchester City's coughed up a 2-goal lead to lose 4-2 in its Champions League clash against Paris Saint-Germain, while Arsenal had a 3-0 win against Dinamo Zagreb. Celtic beat Young Boys 1-0, while Feyenoord upset Bayern Munich 3-0. To football, Port Adelaide chairman David Koch says he's excited ahead of the upcoming footy season, telling David and Will they're again hopeful of being competitive in 2025.
We're going to every season saying, okay, the first step is to make finals, and that's what we're focused on.
To cricket, the Sydney Thunder are now only one game away from the Big Bash Grand Final after beating the Melbourne Stars by 21 runs overnight. They'll now take on the Sydney Sixers tomorrow night, and all-rounder Chris Green says it's a match they're looking forward to.
It's a huge rivalry that I think is just so exciting for this tournament, and so much to play for.
Audio thanks to Fox, and that is the FIVEAA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Selling your commercial property for top dollar is made easier with the team at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Hey, good morning. The Tour Down Under starts in Norwood today, so expect some road closures around the parade till about 2:30, and it finishes in Uradla, so detours in place there till about 7 tonight. In St Mary's, roads closed thanks to a burst water main. A-Lifts Road between South Road and the Crescent. Urgent sewer works in Northfield, Grand Junction Road near Cox Terrace. Forest, and urgent works on Flinders Park, Grange Road near Douglas Street affecting Citybound. The Williams famous back-to-school shoe sale is now on, with 25% off big school shoe brands including Colorado, Lynx and more. Walk this way to Williams. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 26 today, mostly sunny tomorrow, 28, mostly sunny on Saturday, 29, then up to 35 for Sunday. Right now, 19. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Take one, Ray. Too fast, Ray.
You did say to read it faster than a NAB home loan approval.
Touche, Ray.
Search NAB Home Loans. NAB, more than money. T's and C's, fees, charges, eligibility and lending criteria apply. See our website for details.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
The Audi Open House Sale event is now on. Enjoy complimentary registration, stamp duty and CDP, plus 5 years scheduled servicing across a wide range of Audi models. Visit your preferred Audi dealer today. Ends February 28. T's and C's apply. See website for details.
The big tour sale is here with Trafalgar and Phil Hoffman Travel, so you can make 2025 a big deal. Save up to $2,200 per couple on the biggest range of top trending tours to incredible destinations. Live La Dolce Vita on the Best of Italy tour, from ancient Rome to Renaissance Florence, over 13 days, from $6,419 per person twin share. Tour differently with Trafalgar. Visit pht.com.au.
Now, some people think police home care is home care designed for retired police. Well, it's not. It's actually home care for everybody.
One thing is certain, police home care is all about protecting your independence at home and always on your terms.
As a trusted and approved My Aged Care provider, Police Home Care has more than 30 years' experience in aged and disability care. And because they get that everyone's got different needs, different priorities in life, their home caregiving services can be adjusted to what works for you.
And that can be anything from helping you prep meals to general housework, gardening, a trip to the shops or even doctor's appointments. And as you'd expect, every carer at Police Home Care is held to the highest standard.
Plus, as a registered NDIS provider, you're always in good hands with Police Home Care. Visit their website, policehomecare.com.au for more information.
Aussie kids are active kids. Creative kids. Sporty kids. Are you a Weet-Bix kid?
New roof, free gutters, free downpipes. Get free gutters and free downpipes when you replace your roof with Roof and Render SA. It's a genuine offer. We haven't increased the price to cover costs. Times are a little tough, so if we can help with free gutters and downpipes when we replace your roof, we'll do it. New roof, free gutters, free downpipes. This month with Roof and Render SA. T's and C's apply. Google Roof and Render SA for more.
When you've been around for over a century, you know a thing or two. And South Australian Business Chamber and Ray White have almost 300 years between them. So when an alliance is formed between South Australian Business Chamber and Ray White Business Sales SA, all that experience flows to you. This ensures you're in top shape, whether you're buying, selling, or somewhere in between. Touch base with the experts. Search Ray White Business Sales SA. Proudly partnered with South Australian Business Chamber.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
19 minutes to 9. We're going to Carolette Smart Dialer to give away shortly. Peter and Newton, first cab off the rank for the
he's fired up
for the sound off of the Smart Dialer.
Jamping at the bit.
I like that. I hope something's been getting on his grits all summer. And he just waited for this moment today.
He's had 6 weeks to fester.
That's the kind of sound off we want. Exactly right. The catharsis of the sound off like no other.
Exactly.
Good to have the Steels with the Carolette Smart Dialer back on board for 2025. Great to have the Tour Down Under ongoing at the moment. Always love the opportunity to chat with the voice of cycling, one of the great commentators in the history of sport, Phil Liggett, who joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Phil, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Bit cloudy.
It is a little bit
cloudy.
overcast.
There might even be a teeny bit of rain around today too, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, I normally come to this dog and enjoy hot, warm sunshine, but the riders love it today. I mean, there is cloud and it's going to be a high of 23. They will love it because this is the toughest stage of the race. I think, even more tough than Wollonga Hill, which comes over the weekend.
So, Phil, have you had a chance to have a look at this road that goes up through Ashton? It's very windy. You haven't ridden it, have you?
No, I haven't, and everybody I speak to has avoided it as well. And funnily enough, I came down in the lift with the leader, Sam Welsford, this morning, and he fell off yesterday as well as winning the day. And I said, "How are you coming up?" He says, "I'm feeling pretty good." You couldn't see any marks on him, but he did, as you know, rip his shorts to shreds, and had to finish in them, no time to change them. And he said, "No, he said, it is really, really tough." I don't think he expects to be leading the race by tonight, but he'll give his best shot, he said.
I was going to ask you about that, Sam Welsford, his heroics yesterday, Phil. Are cyclists the toughest sport, the most underrated for their toughness sports people on planet Earth? Because they needed to find a new ochre jersey for him because it was torn to shreds.
I tell you, cyclists are amazing people. They're like rubber men. I mean, take the rider who crashed on the day before, Dylan van Baarle. He's a Dutchman. He fell approaching the finish, and it turned out he finished. He got up and he finished. Turned out he'd broken his collarbone, so he was out of the race. Now that man has had such bad luck, and he's a great bike rider. That's the thing. But he had such bad luck in his career. He's broken his pelvis one. He's fractured his hip. He's broken 2 fingers, all in separate crashes. He's broken his collarbone twice now, and he keeps bouncing back. Cyclists are men of rubber. They are incredible.
What did you make of the commentary around that crash, Phil? That obviously most newsworthy, a spectator got injured, and so there was all sorts of speculation around that corner being different from previous years, about the safety protocols that are in place. Is it simply one of those things, or could have something more been done?
Yes, that was the pre-race out on.
Sorry, it was too. Yes,
yeah, that was the pre-race on Saturday night when they crashed coming into the final bend. Now, that is the safest circuit, but it was the first corner of the first sort of World Tour races, and the guys wanted to get the first win, and they came in that corner, I would suggest, at nearly 80 kilometres an hour. And the middle of the peloton fanned out, and the guys on the outside hit the barriers. It was nobody's direct fault, and it's a very unusual crash. But one of the riders fell over the barriers. He went shooting up in the air and over the top of the barriers. But talking to the people and to the riders, it wasn't a rider that hit the spectator. It was other spectators trying to avoid the situation. And so, but the thing is, we still don't know the condition. They have never told us. But hopefully the lady will be fine. Obviously, she's recovering. Otherwise, you would have heard. But it's an ugly accident and a very sad opening to the week, for sure.
Yeah, it was. Phil, you've been coming here for decades now for the Tour Down Under. It sort of started off as a bit of a niche event, almost like a bit of an experiment, but it's really become so entrenched now on the international cycling calendar, hasn't it?
Totally. I mean, everybody in SA were distraught when the F1 went to Victoria, and then they thought, well, what on earth can we bring to Adelaide that might attract people again? And it was the people who asked us make suggestions. It was the people who suggested have a bike race like the Tour de France. Everybody thought, yeah, right. Have you ever tried organising a bike race like the Tour de France? But everybody from the Premier, John Olsen it was in those days, and from the police, from the highest level, who went to the Tour de France to see what they have to do to make it great, to all the local government and, of course, the people, and Mike Turk, the Olympic and it happened, and it was a hit from day one, and that.
I think we might have lost Phil there.
Phones just let us down.
Unfortunately, we're winding up anyway. That was probably the last question.
Geez, you could just listen to him talk about cycling all day, couldn't you?
He's superb. He's superb, and one of those rare voices where, like Murray Walker, you know the sport you're watching without having to have it in context or anything like that. But Phil Liggett, the voice of the cycling and the voice of our own Tour Down Under, it's a really good event. And even if you're not into cycling, like it's all the ancillary stuff, But I reckon French tourism over the years would have benefited from things like SBS and all the other affiliate stations' coverage of it, where, you see them going up through, I don't know, Avignon or, through Pézenas or, set, along the edge of the Mediterranean there with that amazing lagoon filled with flamingos at the background and the Camargue, and you go, oh, how good would it be to go to France one day? And I actually reckon, maybe not internationally, but certainly nationally, there would be people who are in Adelaide right now because of the race. Because they've seen the race on TV and they go, how good's McLaren?
Well, I don't think there's another sport on earth that showcases areas like cycling does. It's about the pace of it, the way it's shot, the way the local landscape and the landmarks are actually part of the race and the event. I don't think there's anything that comes close. Like let's use Formula One for an example. Yes, it brings a lot of people, but no one watching the Italian Grand Prix in Monza knows anything about Milan.
No,
you don't sit and watch it and go, oh, gee, I can't. It just doesn't. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't lend itself. No, I don't think any sport does it like cycling. It's the best. It feels like a travel show when you're watching.
Yeah, totally.
It's a
well,
terrific
I
event.
said the other day about last Friday down at Silver Sands. It was just this visual feast.
It's beautiful. Yeah, they do a great job covering. And you know what? FIVEAA gets a huge part of that. All right, let's check traffic, and we're going to come back with the first sound off of the year in just a moment.
Yeah, we're still accident breakdown free at the moment, which is exciting. Of course, the 2 and Under starts in Norwood today, so expect some road closures around the parade till about 2:30 this afternoon, and it finishes in Uradler, so detours in place there till about 7 tonight. Got roads closed in St Mary's thanks to a burst water main, Aylifts Road between South Road and the Crescent, and urgent sewer works in Northfield, Grand Junction Road near Cox Terrace. Entertaining this holiday season, OTR has all your ice, gas, barbecue needs, and a huge range of drinks ready to go 24/7. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi, Graham Goodings here. After 9 this morning, will they never learn? The foreign-owned Australian venue company is refusing to acknowledge Australia Day in any of its venues. We'll name the pubs in SA after 9 this morning. Also, if you want to find out about Australia Day activities in the city, don't bother checking the Adelaide City Council site. Their information, well, it's 12 months out of date. Wagging school appears to be part of the curriculum now, with a third of SA students missing a day of school at least every fortnight. And the $12 million north-south bikeway along Frome Road. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Those stories and more coming up after 9.
I'm high! The Excelsior Hotel has always felt like home, and right now you can tuck into a schnitty and a pint for just $22 in the front bar. Not bad, hey? That's a schnitty and a pint for just $22, only in the front bar. Make sure you check out their $20 jugs of the month too, plus live acoustic music every Saturday and Sunday from 5 till 8 p.m. The Excelsior Hotel feels like home, but better. You just know it's a Barreau Hotel.
If the bank's declined your business loan, no worries. Universal Finance make business loans easy. No financials required. Unsecured business loans and business overdrafts. Universal Finance can help your business now. For lightning fast settlement, sometimes in just a matter of hours. See Universal Finance in Kent Town today. Or search Universal Finance right now. This is general advice only, and you should consider the terms and conditions before determining whether this advice is suitable for your situation.
Hi, I'm Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. We're finding Adelaide is attracting people not only for its events and festivals, but for the long term, whether they're investing or making the move here. Last year, a significant number of our buyers came from interstate or overseas, making this an ideal time to showcase your home to a wider audience. At Toop and Toop, we have proven strategies to connect your property with the right buyers and ensure no opportunity is missed. Visit toop.com.au. Toop and Toop, Adelaide's trusted real estate advisors.
Honda's huge stock clearance is on now. This is your chance to unlock great offers across the entire range at Formula Honda, Glen Osmond and Modbury. From free scheduled services to price reductions on selected build years, there's a Formula Honda offer for everyone. Don't wait. Hurry into Formula Honda at Glen Osmond Road, Glen Osmond or North East Road, Modbury to find your perfect Honda. Offer excludes additional maintenance work or items. See honda.com.au for terms and conditions.
Tommy, what gets you up in the morning for a hit of golf?
Timmy, there's nothing better than stepping out on the first hole and feeling the anticipation of a great day. What about you?
It's the crack of the driver. Sends the ball straight down the middle of the fairway. What gets you up for a game, Rowie?
Timmy, for me, it's the kerplonk of the ball finding the cup.
You know what gets me up for a game of golf, fellas?
We know, Pimbo. It's about 8 missed calls and a drive-by.
Drummond Golf. For the love of golf.
Drive away in the Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai from just $46,990 drive away. T's and C's apply.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
8 minutes to 9. Been looking forward to this. The first sound off for the smart dial of 2025. Use your home care package through My Aged Care or NDIS for a care alert for free. Visit carealert.com.au.
We keep wanting to bring more people in. Why?
Just getting a little bit frustrated ringing some of our larger organisations.
They're on a good wicket and I'm getting no justice for my dollars.
Sound off, sound off, sound off. Oh, yes, it's time to sound off with the smart dialer. Peter in Newton has had something percolating for a while. Morning to you, Peter. The airwaves are yours.
Thanks, guys. Have you tried making a phone call to get an appointment with a doctor these days? Man, the first thing is you're greeted by an automated message telling you that if it's an emergency, please call 000. Hang up now. Really? I need to be told by a machine that if I take a chainsaw to my leg, I'm not smart enough to know that I need to call 000.
Yes.
But no, let me ring my doctor. He'll tell me what to do. For God's sake, people, COVID has driven everybody crazy. What do you think I want to ring my doctor for? Do you have flu-like symptoms? Or do you know anyone who's had COVID? I've got to lie just to see my doctor. No, mate, I'm perfectly healthy. I just want to see the doctor. For God's sake. It's crazy.
Oh, Peter, I could not agree. That was absolutely superb. Could not agree more.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, mate.
You've got a care alert smart dialer coming your way, Peter.
It is true. Why do they say, have you got flu-like symptoms? I reckon, probably 50% of people go to the doctor because they've got flu-like symptoms. So you do have to lie.
They must know, everyone. People just lie about it.
And do you know anyone who's had COVID? Well, only everybody.
He's right about the warning. It feels like all the other stupid, superfluous warnings that exist in the world these days. You know, if it's an emergency, don't call us. As though if it hadn't occurred to you, like it suddenly would occur to you in that moment. Oh, thanks for the reminder. Who did I ring?
Yeah.
That's a great sound.
Every time I go to the Wollonga Bakery, there's a sign out the front, just down near the thrift shop, that says, beware of veranda.
Yeah.
There's a veranda there.
Does it bite?
There's verandas all over the place.
Yeah.
But I always, show it to the kids and go, just watch out, okay? There's a veranda. What's it going to do? I want to know who put up the sign that says beware of veranda. I want to know what the veranda maybe did 30 years ago.
Did
it attack
Watch out for the veranda. Maybe it did. It's got a history, that veranda. Let's have a look at the fuel situation this morning. With hundreds of ways to save every day, it's better to be a member with RAA Rewards. Unleaded this morning. The cheapest, $1.65.5 at the ex-convenience Plympton Anzac Highway. Good morning to Debbie in South Plympton too. We had a good chuckle at your text. $1.69.9.
Did we ever?
We can't read it out because it was blue.
Well, no, we can. We just have to bleep it out. It says, TDU. It's a good event. Just annoys me how the bike riders think they can own the road during this time of year. Then it just descends into profanity-laden ranting. Use the bike lane! It's the law! Jerks!
Also,
Debbie says.
$1.69.9 at the United Glenunga, Port Rush Road. $1.69.9 at the OTR Northgate, Main North Road. Cheapest diesel, $1.79.5, the ex-convenience Prospect, Main North Road.
I have a bit of music there for us. Oh,
do? Okay, let me have a listen.
God save the Queen, the fascist regime, and made you a moron, potential hate bomb.
40 years ago, if you played that song on radio, you would have been arrested. It went number one, and the BBC banned it straight away. I think they banned it even before it was played. The moment purely on the strength of the name of the band, the Sex Pistols, the name of their brilliant album, Nevermind the Bollocks, and the name of that song, God Save the Queen. The song was banned forthwith, and it went number one. And when it appeared on the charts, there was a little black rectangle showing nothing. Just
they wouldn't even print the name.
No, it was on the top 40 chart as a black rectangle sitting there at number one. Well, the reason I mention it is the Sex Pistols. 75% of the Sex Pistols are coming to Adelaide. The original lineup of Paul Cook on drums, Steve Jones, great guitarist, and Glenn Matlock, the bass player, who got turfed from the band, not because he was no good, but because they wanted to replace him with poor old Sid Vicious sort of prop Sid up on stage in his gear and see how he went. But no Johnny Rotten. John Lydon, the lead singer, he hasn't spoken to these guys for years, and apparently it's because they all regard him as completely objectionable. So there's a guy who apparently is quite a good punk rock singer in his own right, Frank Carter, who is going to be doing the Johnny Rotten role, but they're playing at the Hindley Street Music Hall.
Fantastic.
Isn't it funny how the world's changed? Like the idea of talking about the Sex Pistols, an album with the title Nevermind the Bollocks. No one really bats an eyelid at that sort of thing anymore, do they? But in 1977, it was like, you know, a sign that society was in a state of irreversible moral decline.
I'll give you a very contemporary equivalent. In a few years' time, we'll be able to read out Debbie's text. Graham Goodings is coming up after 9 o'clock. Stick around for that. Thanks for all your contributions right throughout the morning. We'll be back tomorrow morning, Meat Tray Friday, with a Donald Trump-inspired meat tray as well. It's going to be huge. We want you to dream big about what you do to change South Australia for the meat tray.
It's going to be the most beautiful meat tray ever.
See you then.